You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess, screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I know you guys want me to do it from the living room again, don't you? You like the what is in JMV's living room. You guys think I'm nuts. And that's cool. And that's exactly what my living room looks like, too. If you missed the show yesterday because we got on late, round about 4:40, somewhere in that neighborhood, and went until 7 o'clock, we had one hellaciously awesome time broadcasting live. It was me and Zeke the cat and you guys yesterday in my living room in Bargersville. I was this damn close to setting all that stuff up again. I just didn't know if I could remember how to do it again. I thought it'd be easier just to go ahead and get behind the wheel and come in here. Hey, quick shout out. And I know that they worked these incredibly long hours. And I know that it's very frustrating. I know you have to deal with frustrated drivers because, simply put, we have a lot of have-tos out there. It's the way that the life goes. We have a lot of have-tos. Yeah, if we're still in our 20s, you wonder why I reflect so kindly on my youth. It's because there were not very many have-tos. A lot of half-assing, not a lot of have-tos. But a quick shout to those that have been out there working endless hours in snow plowing and removal. There was a lot of snow out there. And shout out to you guys. And we're not all right yet. And here's what's bad. Here's what I want you to do. We'll play this game, and then we'll think about it later down the road. I want you to eyeball the most significant pile of snow, whether it is a Kroger location or Walmart, maybe it's a parking lot. I have one that is on the other side of Bargersville where they have snow piled up past a 10-foot goal in the driveway. Let's all see how long it takes this crap to melt. What is the over-under? April Fool's Day? That's what I'm betting. Unless we have an incredibly warm or surprisingly warm couple of days in February, an incredibly warm March. I'm saying April Fool's Day for that ridiculously high mountain pile of snow that by that point in time will be nothing but dirt. Eyeball that. We'll check in later. My over-under again, April Fool's Day. Yeah, thank you all for joining us. Too. I saw the Tyrese Halliburton stuff with LeBron James. Get to that coming up a little bit later on. Pacers off today. They played, obviously, yesterday in the afternoon, lose to Atlanta. Get the Bulls coming up tomorrow night. I did mention this to Jake. I guess it's understandable. But I do miss the juice. This whole IU-Purdue round number 1 basketball matchup later on tonight in Bloomington is juiceless. Is it not? Do I just hang around with the wrong people? The wrong places? It seems like that there is no juice to it. Somebody needs to provide a little bit of juice later on tonight. Can we get active? Can we have a conversation outside of just the nuts and the bolts of the basketball that takes place tonight coming up on tomorrow's show, which, by the way, I won't be here, but I'll explain. We need a little bit of an oomph. That's weird. We sit around, and for so many years, for decades, for eras, we waited for this game, and it just kind of seems like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's Tuesday night, 9 o'clock on Peacock. Thanks a lot. Yeah, put those things back on Channel 4 when we were all incredibly excited. Yeah, the Peacock game later on tonight. I said, hey, Laney, I know it's you and I this week here, so I'm probably going to have to invade your space and watch this game on your television with your Roku stick on Peacock later on tonight. We're peacocked. Who was that, John Fanta and Robbie Hummel? I don't think we've ever had Fanta on. Fanta is named after one of the notoriously sugary cream sodas of our existence, Fanta cream soda. That probably also played a role in my kidney stones. Later on tonight, 9 o'clock. By the way, 93 WIBC has it, and obviously that will get underway with Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, coming up at 8 o'clock later on tonight. You know, I mentioned this yesterday, and they have a lot of good players, and we talked to Matt Painter about that at the start of the season. And the quote that resonates with me when Matt was talking about his team and the depth of his team is, well, there's going to be some dudes that aren't going to be happy because I'm always going to oh, my goodness. My man's got this fur coat on right here. What the hell? That's awesome. I'm sorry. The guy from Telemundo walked down here, James, and he had the most glorious fur coat on I've ever seen. I'm struck by the fur coat. I thought, man, did you win that on Price is Right? Holy, is that from Dicker and Dicker of Beverly Hills right there? That's outstanding. My man. At any rate, I want to go back to that conversation we had back in November with Matt Painter. You know, some people are going to be disappointed about the clock that they're getting. Understandable. But the problem is you have some guys right now that are getting the lion's share of the clock that need to be producing, that should be producing. And the obvious one is Fletcher Lawyer. Fletcher Lawyer has to play at a higher level, but I think that one to me is too easy. And yesterday I talked about Trey Kaufman-Renn. And while Trey Kaufman-Renn is putting up nice numbers, and anybody would love to have him, I think somehow, some way, you either have to coach him into that position or he has to play into that position of being much more of a factor than he is. And maybe not looking as frustrated as he does. You watch games, and it's almost like he's more frustrated than he is happy. And that's where I'm going to take my cue from this noted conversation about his play. And I'm not talking about IU and Purdue tonight or the rest of the Big Ten season, but to reach these mountainous goals that the Boilermakers clearly should have with their basketball program, let's just face it, Fletcher Lawyer, sure, has to play better, but so does Kaufman-Renn. And you can talk about Clough taking some of it away, but he has to be more of a factor. There's some moments where it looks like he doesn't enjoy it. That's just me eyeballing it. He may absolutely love it and think I'm crazy. He goes, hey, I know we're both from Southern Indiana, but you're from the wrong spot in Southern Indiana. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I'm just going by what you see. I guess maybe I have a bar set for him that maybe is higher than most. But a dominant force is what I'll expect. A dominant force out of him. He and Clough should have, considering the IU lack of bigs, and even talking about Assembly Hall and, you know, that storied history and a tough building to play in, all of that crap, all that stuff. You have two dudes right there that should be able to pick and choose what they want to do on the inside, because IU doesn't have that. Now, what IU does have is at home a capability. What IU does have at times is the capability of guys getting hot. They may not have that consistency of anybody being high-level good, but they have guys that can get hot and get hot at the right moments. Wilkerson can do that. DeVries can do that. And I know DeVries has been frustrated. DeVries doesn't look, and this is just a difference between the Mo Valley and the Big Ten, he doesn't look anything like he did in the Mo Valley 2 years ago, or at least the game that I watched live in St. Louis against Indiana State. And if he's not knocking down threes and being a situational guy offensively that you have to check and have to keep track of and, make sure you hold down. The problem is he can't guard anybody. And that's also a part of the IU problem. They can't guard anybody. But I will say this, where they really struggle would be against incredibly athletic teams. I'm going to go back to December against Louisville at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They struggled against Louisville, not because Louisville's very good. You saw that act last night against Duke. They're simply put not very good. They're not that great. They're top 20 worthy, top 25 worthy, but not that great. But they are athletic, and IU struggles with athleticism. So Purdue going to get something out of their athletes that they have on the floor. So will Cox play significant roles in this? Meyer plays significant roles in this coming up later on tonight. But even above and beyond all else is I want to see at a higher level Kaufman-Wren be that dude. And even if it's just me, so be it. But that is the expectation coming up later on tonight. And I'm hoping that something happens so we can get a little bit of juice. Like a Porter Roberts spiking the ball at half court. I don't know. It's something. Something that will give this a little bit more juice. And I understand why it's taken away. I mean, Purdue's in a modest 2-game losing skid, and they got to work their way out of that later on tonight. You can't lose 3 consecutive if you're the Boilermakers. And we talked about that last week after that surprise loss, if you will, a week ago in Westwood. And then you come back on Saturday and you face an Illinois team that had been really good, and Keaton Wagler went absolutely ballistic against you. This happened like twice during the Matt Painter era in Mackey Arena. Evan Turner was one. We love Evan Turner. Evan Turner was one, and Wagler was the other. But it was enough with the talent that they have, and especially the offensive glass. You think IU has anything board work-wise in them, which they haven't shown? They don't have bigs. They don't have Alexis and Reed Bailey. Reed Bailey drives everybody absolutely nuts. Do they have anything on the interior? Because even beyond Wagler and what he did with his 40-plus in Mackey Arena on Saturday, they were just relentless Illinois on the offensive glass. And listen, that's how they're built. They have glass eaters like that. And Purdue couldn't really do anything with them. When Purdue wasn't giving up points to Wagler, they were giving up offensive rebounds to the Fighting Illini. And that really, as an end result, probably is what buried them. IU have any interior play whatsoever? Shout out to interior play. Braden Smith, capable of dictating terms. Will IU have a guy that just gets in his zone, has a hot shooter? Maybe not consistently good, but can DeVries or Wilkerson get hot in this game? I think I need to see, to add the juice a little bit, we need to see maybe a Smith, because you got a kind of a battle of red asses right here. You got Smith and Enright. Maybe we need to see a meeting of red asses right here to get a little bit more juice in this. Yeah, maybe it's just me. And a lot of it has to do with, we have drawn it as a foregone conclusion regarding Purdue. And nobody's been paying attention. Believe me, there would be a lot more on Darren DeVries, even in year number 1, had IU not in football just done what IU did. By the way, football team present, the national champions later on tonight. You already have a difficult environment. Environment's going to be even more fired up because of that. But a lot of that recognition and a lot of that attention is the reason why maybe this matchup has been a little bit lost in the shuffle. And I can't remember a time when IU, up until Friday night, that win on the road in Jersey against Rutgers, when IU has looked like that and lost games and everybody wasn't up shaking their fist because, frankly, nobody really cared. It is weird. But it is the world in which we live, that weird world, that odd world. Got IU, Purdue, and Bloomington, and round number 1 coming up later on tonight. and you're peacocked on a Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. Streaming services. Don't they know anything of the history of Channel 4? This would have been the mop lady coming out. Macurino would have been the guy finding his old tuba up in the attic and playing that. That's what we need. Obviously, I like Hummel a great deal. John Fanta is very enthusiastic, so it should be good. We got to get John Fanta on sometime, just to talk about his last name. Cream soda, orange, or grape? How many Fanta flavors were there back in the day? Still are, I guess, today, right? Fanta? They're still out there. Fanta. That's a Coca-Cola product. Cream soda. Cream soda was like the Dr. Thunder to Dr. Pepper. That's what cream soda Fanta was to Big Red. And then you had Barks, which was, I don't even know what the hell that was, but go ahead. Barks cream soda. Yes.
Well, Barks has got great root beer, I will say.
Barks has great.
I love
Do
great
you ever
Barks root beer.
cream soda?
I'm not a cream soda guy.
There is zero way that wasn't taking the paint off people's car if it was ever spilled on it.
According to Google, or I guess Microsoft Bing, there are 200 flavors of Fanta.
To what?
200
flavors?
Yeah.
So there's probably a pineapple and a mango and a cantaloupe.
I'm sure there's some real weird
200
ones.
I didn't know there was 200 flavors of anything. We have 200 flavors of, in general, stuff on our planet. See, that's where we need to be. I need to be in my living room so I can take the globe that makes me look really smart off the mantle and spin it like as the world turns. No idea 200 flavors did exist.
Ooh, there's a Fanta Pina Colada.
Some of that doesn't sound good. Give me the most unappealing flavor of Fanta on that list of 200 right there. What is a like crap water flavor or something like that?
Well,
cigarette butt flavor.
This is a very limited list that I'm looking at, but there's Fanta Berry, and it looks very blue.
Very blue, huh? Nicely done. You know, it's funny. Tyrese Halliburton, I don't know how long ago. I'm assuming that was recently. He did that sit-down podcast, I guess it is, with LeBron James. I really do like hearing Tyrese Halliburton talk hoop. Twofold here. I like hearing people talk hoop that really love it. As you know, I love basketball. I'm not very good at it, but I love it. I love people that love hoop, that talk about hoop, and I love people that genuinely love being around here. And I know what you're saying right now. Well, what's not to love? I just look outside and there's like 25 inches of snow piled up in front of my door. Right. But you could tell that Halliburton genuinely loves being around here. I appreciate that. Not everybody does. Those are two, to me, very important aspects if you want to be a high caliber, high quality athlete. Now, obviously, you win games and people aren't going to really care about that, but you know what I mean. Two very important assets as a professional athlete. You're loving what you do, never downplaying it. You're loving it whether you're watching your film or somebody else's film or a different game altogether. But also loving where you are. Really, truly enjoying where you are. And as I always will say, he went above and beyond in what he put on the line to try to bring an NBA championship here. And that should never, ever be forgotten. And hopefully some of you out there don't forget that. But I did see at least one of the things he talked about was going back to the year before last. And these are like the benchmarks of things that I know, right? And normally these benchmarks or these signature moments in my brain have to do with 33, the former 33 here playing like crap. So you go back to the in-season tournament in Vegas, the championship game where they played the Lakers, and there was so much happened there, but the lion's share of it was the fact that the Pacers got depantsed by the Lakers. And if you remember, that was the game where Anthony Davis just worked 33 like crazy, and then 33 was all pissy, and 33 went back to get on the bike or to scream cuss words in the locker room, and everybody started shooting X messages to me that he just quit on his team, and you got to trade him. We just quit on his team. And, of course, these are just jackasses. But those are just moments that resonate with me. But what he had mentioned in that, and this is how things work, that led to a reason, and maybe the most significant reason why Pascal Siakam is here, is that realization in getting the deep pantsing by the Lakers in that game, no matter what point it was what, early December 2 years ago? No matter what point that it was, you come to the realization that you had to have somebody else. And then, for example, the former 33 was cussing about getting worked over by Anthony Davis down the hall. They didn't quit. I did come back. But that moved the Pacers forward in going all in on Siakam, which turned out to be big, even if some people felt that the timelines don't match, and that nerdery drives me nuts. Here's what does match. He's a talented player that plays his ass off. That's what matches. Your age timeline dorkery wears me out. But what does matter is how he plays, what he does, how he produces. And that's why he's deserving of an all-star nod this year. He's likely not going to get it because his team stinks record-wise. But I look at it this way. I have even more admiration for Pascal Siakam because he goes out there. Have you checked out the minutes that dude is logging right now? Insanity, the amount of minutes. He's going to be worn to the nub. And he goes at it as hard every moment as he possibly can. I have a great deal of admiration for that. And oh, by the way, too, he mixes in a glorious level of talent that is an absolute necessity for this group. So to me, I think what he is doing right now would be even more significant than if he were doing this with a team that was above 500 or in contention for a postseason spot. Because he's doing this in all likelihood, night in and night out, knowing that this team is probably going to lose. Got a great deal of admiration for when you go at it that hard, when you also have the realization, as we all do, for the inevitable negative. And a shout-out to Pascal Siakam, and a shout-out to that recollection from Tyrese Halliburton going back over 2 years ago to that championship game in Vegas against the Lakers. Because that is what led to the strategy of getting Siakam. And even faced with the season we see right now with the blue and gold, it has been pretty damn good, regardless of the lining up of the timelines. All right, 239-1070 is that number, 317-239-1070. That is the text line. If you guys want to bringeth, you shall bringeth. We got Rascal Flatts tickets to give away. My brother from another mother is coming in town. We're going to have a family reunion. I'll bring the cottage cheese, and he'll bring the Boston cream pie, evidently. Rascal Flatts tickets coming up. Gamebridge Field. I know people have tried to get him on this show before. Oddly enough, he has declined. Weird. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Tom Dienhart, Purdue Angle. Jeff Rabjohns, IU Angle. Greg Rakestraw, Everything's Angle. Brian Evans, former Hoosier. That and more coming up. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Got a great idea if you're thinking about losing that weight. Start 2020. I know we're already a month deep into 2026, so let's expedite the process. If you've been thinking about it, let's make that jump. Medically supervised weight loss injections right here in Indianapolis and Fishers, too. 2 locations of Premier Weight Loss, an incredible staff that will work with you hand in hand along the way to make sure you reach those goals. And best part about it is they do this in-scope body thing that tells you there's no lying. It is nothing but the truth. You guys at all, hey, I got to have the truth. That is the truth right there. Body fat percentage, visceral fat, which can be beyond problematic too. Cholesterol levels, everything, every month is checked. And my friends Lauren and Samantha and Thomas of the gang at Premier Weight Loss will make sure they'll ride right along with you, shotgun, if you will, on your weight loss journey to make sure each and every month you're hitting your mark. That's PWLND.com. Tell them I sent you today. Now is a great time to get started because who knows how you're going to look coming up when it is Speedo and bikini time this summer. I know you can't look outside right now and recognize it, but it'll be here at some point. And you can look better, feel better, be more healthy thanks to my friends at Premier Weight Loss. That's PWLND.com. Tell them I sent you today.
The Ride with JMV.
We're not going to fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Whatever happened to Adele? Is Adele around anymore?
I think she is, yeah.
I've got a whatever weekend coming up on B105.7 if I don't jack up everything like I did last Saturday night. Is Adele still do stuff?
I think she does.
Was she with a major LeBron James agent, something like that? Is that her boyfriend? Come on, James, do you not watch Entertainment Tonight? I don't either, but no.
And I don't really keep up with what Adele is doing. She's not really my genre.
I like that song right there.
It's not a bad song.
She's got a hell of a voice right there.
She does. It's just I don't normally go in for her type of music.
Matt writes this, JMV, I saw Color Me Bad open up for Paula Abdul at the Thomas and Mack Center in UNLV. I swear to you, and I got to get back to these folks and we got caught up with IU and then the holidays, but there's a 90s show that's coming to town that they wanted me to be a part of, and I think I've been faulty in returning an email. And I know you guys are going to go, oh, yeah, really? Shocking. I think they're going to ask me to be a part of Color Me Bad. I don't know which one, the one that looks like Kenny G or the one that looks like Terrence Trent D'Arby or George Michael or Vanilla Ice. I don't know which one. Did I ever tell you, James? Back then I go, oh, wow, and now I kind of look at it in a different light. Hooligans, 1991, Bloomington, Indiana, Dunkirk Square, right beneath the upstairs pub. Hooligans is just a level of greatness that nobody would know unless you're a member of my era. And I'm in there, and some girl approaches me and says, you look like the lead singer of Color Me Bad. And at the time, I go, cool, because I had my gold chain on the outside of my turtleneck.
So this was a compliment.
It was a compliment at the time. Now, not so much.
Do you prefer the people say that you look like the lead singer of Color Me Bad, or do you prefer the lead singer of Rascal Flatts?
Yeah, yeah. I do. Gary LaVox and I look incredibly alike. My late father, who died back in 2017, and I found out on Facebook, I'm assuming he probably diddled somewhere around Columbus, Ohio back in the day, because I think we're kind of the same age. Mm-hmm. So he may have gone on a public service Indiana road trip and diddled somewhere. Because we look, except for that big tube sock in the front of his pants at every show, we look incredibly alike.
Long lost brothers?
Yeah. From another mother, but maybe from the same father. I'm just saying. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline, the pride of Lanesville, Indiana. Got that girls' sectional pairings out this past Sunday. Is gloriously good to go for IU and Purdue round number 1 later on tonight. Greg Rakestraw is with us. Hello, Greg.
Hello, sir. I'm actually on my way to the other major college basketball game in the state of Indiana tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where's this?
That'd be Notre Dame hosting Virginia.
Oh.
It's the annual Rake and Bowen Road
Oh,
trip.
man, I apologize for that. So you guys are going to see Notre Dame and Virginia.
Instead a live studio audience.
Yeah.
John, how are you?
Good. What's up, Kev?
How we doing?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, you guys take a picture of yourself. This is like Joe and John Ross rolling up to South Bend together right now, isn't it? Back in the day?
You got to remember, one of my closest friends were teammates of the Ross twins at Northfield. So yes. I went to college with one of their teammates, and I became friends with another one of their teammates, which is a shocking number of people from Northfield High School.
Let me tell you this, Greg. Should be noted right now, but even though he doesn't play basketball a lot, Kevin Bowen still has better interior post moves than either one of the Ross twins.
They were part of some great teams in high school. At Notre Dame, maybe not so much.
No doubt about that. All right, Notre Dame and Virginia for you guys coming up later on tonight. Kev can pass along in the background his thoughts. I'm sure he always has those out there from this morning. But does it feel to you like that there is a lack of juice with this first part of IU, Purdue, and hoops tonight in Bloomington? It feels that way to me. How about you?
We were having that conversation a few minutes ago because it's a 9:00 game. It's streamed on Peacock. Obviously Indiana has not beaten anybody really of quality in terms of the Big Ten. Purdue is coming in, and obviously their standard has been so high, coming in flat as of late. And so given the blizzard of 26, or whatever we're going to call what happened in the last few days, the 3 days that remind me way too much of COVID, but that's a conversation maybe for a different question. It may not be the best of crowds at Assembly Hall, and it is also just understandable. Believe it or not, there is only so much you can care, and given that we're still all in the afterglow of last Monday's national championship game, I understand people not exactly being focused on Indiana and Purdue coming up tonight.
There's no doubt about that. All right, I've got now you just sent me a picture at JMV 1070, and I sent it back out of you and Kevin on the way to South Bend. This, you'll have to send me, and after I make this comment, shot too, because this is going to get Kevin a noted sports arousal. You guys ready?
Oh boy!
This is from mutual friend Eddie White of the Pacers. Believe it or not, the Ross brothers had a better record at Notre Dame against North Carolina than they did against Butler. True. So, Kev, don't let that sports arousal interfere with Greg Rakestraw's driving to South Bend, okay?
I'm going to go with, I assume that means they were 1-0 against North Carolina in their 4 years.
No, it just seemed like
nothing to be ashamed of about that.
It was a quality stat from Eddie White. I wanted to pass along to get Kevin Bowen excited riding shotgun with you right here.
I was going to say, I almost just automatic airbag almost just went off. How quickly I got to midnight over here.
Bowen's going to joust the airbag on the way to South Bend now.
I cannot tell you how much I'm focusing on 10-2 and looking north as we speak.
That's good. Yeah, Greg, just make sure you look dead ahead right there. Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Fellas, you guys can both answer this. Greg, I'll start with you. He's put up good numbers, and I like him a great deal, and maybe it's because of the Oscar Clough effect that's going on, but I sometimes I find myself, I'm disappointed in Kaufman-Wren and his level of play, and sometimes I think he looks very frustrated with his level of play in some of these games. Would anybody agree?
I think there's something to that. I think there's the fact that these seniors have played a whole lot of basketball, and I think it's kind of twofold. One, I think there's some injuries that are kind of being hidden, and I'm not sure Braden's is all that hidden, but I think you're kind of dealing with a team that's not completely and fully healthy. But again, I'll go back to what's between the years and just saying I understand if IU fans aren't that fired up because so much attention, and understandably so, was poured into football until last Monday and frankly in the week since that time. But what have we said about this Purdue team? It's more like, hey, wake me up when you get to March 15th. You know, and really what you are trying to do is make sure you've got you don't have to even be a number one seed. Just be 1, 2, or 3. And I kind of phrased that question to Jerry Palm when I had him on Friday. I was filling in for Jake. I'm like, all right, what seed do they need to be to where it starts to become a factor? Because we all know what this group can do. It's just a matter of being healthy enough and being ready to go by the time March 15th rolls around. So my guess is that it's probably a little bit of physical fatigue and probably some mental fatigue there too, John.
It is Greg Rakestraw kind enough to join us along with Kevin Bowen, who is riding shotgun. This is Starsky and Hutch on the way to South Bend, going up US 31 right now to check out Virginia and Notre Dame. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. IU, is it because of the location, the building? They have guys that can get hot. They don't have sustainability. They don't have any low post presence really whatsoever. And even beyond Wagler and what he did with the 40-plus on Saturday and Mackey against the Boilers, it was the offensive glass that I thought got Illinois over. Does IU have enough in their own building to get something done, especially in the low post against Purdue tonight?
The answer to your questions are yes and no. Because it's a rivalry game, because it's in your own building, because I don't think this Purdue team is skilled. They're not overly athletic. They beat you because of what they can do offensively, not because they're going to lock you down defensively. That combination leads to Indiana being able to hang in this game. And again, Purdue is not playing their best coming in. But in terms of doing something in the low block, that's just not how this IU team is wired right now. So they got a puncher's chance because they can knock down threes. That's what the game plan has to be for Indiana tonight.
Who's more impressive in the Big Ten for you? And maybe it is. Maybe it's. I'm going to guess it right now with unbeaten Nebraska. Of course, they get Michigan. That's a big deal coming up later on tonight as well. That has also been peacocked. But you look at Illinois. Illinois, they have pieces. There is no doubt, but they have on the interior what so many teams around college basketball simply do not. Should I go ahead and put a check mark next to that name and remember that again coming up here in the month of March?
Well, to me, you asked what's most impressive. I would just say the top of the Big Ten in total, because we're sitting here talking about Purdue being, I wouldn't say a shoo-in, but kind of the expectation is get back to Indianapolis for the Final Four. What are they, the fourth or fifth best team in the Big Ten right now? And so what impresses me overall is simply the quality of play in the Big Ten. And again, the Big Ten has bragging rights in football because 3 different schools have won the national championship over the course of the last 3 years. But it has been a while since we have talked about how good this many teams are in the Big Ten, where it's Michigan, who isn't as hot as they once were, but still a really good team. You touched on Nebraska. I wouldn't sleep on Michigan State. What you said about Illinois is true. And now I'm getting to Purdue. I realize there's 18 teams in the league. I just rattled off 5 that are top 10, top 15, top 20. It's been a minute since we've talked about that. So all those teams, other than Purdue right now, are playing pretty solid basketball. But the fact that the league goes that deep on a top shelf, to me, that speaks volumes of what the Big Ten is doing big picture.
So Greg Rakestraw, Kevin Bowen on the way to South Bend to watch Virginia, Notre Dame on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Would we, you think, be harder core even in year number 1 on Darren DeVries had it not been for IU's march to a national title?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's almost some oh well to it. And I don't think you're in red flag territory yet. And there'll probably be a little more scrutiny that might come his way over the next 5 or 6 weeks. But absolutely, that has taken a lot of the interest/sting away from what has been an okay, a good, but certainly not great first 2/3 of the campaign in Bloomington.
All right, guys, you look at, I'm counting right here, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tennessee, Miami, Atlanta, New York, all have coaches. And Kev can answer this from afar, riding shotgun with you right now, and Greg, you can as well. Does that even more, you think, magnify the fact that the Colts maintain this course when others, especially teams, for example, like Buffalo, are making a change and they've had much higher levels of success over this whole Chris Ballard era than the Colts have had? Does that magnify it and make maybe a fan base here even more disappointed because no change at all had been made?
By the way, I think we just missed the turnoff for the Ross Brothers High School. We would've,
go in there, go in there and get your picture taken. They probably have an Indiana All-Star photograph of them both in there, right? From 89, something like that. Go stand in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about statues in Bloomington for Kurt Signetti. Maybe some statues out front of Northfield High School if we would have turned back there. Yeah, I think there's a lot there, John. I mean, we ended up having 10 openings, and you think about how some of these very successful head coaches in particular have been fired, pushed out, however you want to label it. It comes back to the conversation I certainly had Monday after the season ended when we got the announcement of I just think they've accepted mediocrity over there at West 56th Street a lot more than other franchises have, and this cycle probably more than any. You think about Buffalo, like you said, you think about Baltimore, who knows the full story with Pittsburgh and Tomlin. Even Green Bay, they debated the Matt LaFleur thing. That is something that I think I've heard from Colts fans. And, again, you and I had this conversation, John, a few weeks ago. I don't think had Carly Ursay-Gordon known that John Harbaugh or Sean McDermott or Mike Tomlin would have been available, I really don't think that would have changed their mind, to be honest with you.
So I think, Kev, we'll close with this point. That's why it is so easy to look at this, and even if it doesn't matter in their thought process, so many fans out there are going to say, all right, this was more financially driven than it is anything else, and that gives you certain levels of worry for the future. That's true.
I'm going to take a detour here, and I know Matt Taylor's got some trivia that I believe is starting tonight, Indiana sports trivia, and I'm going to tell Greg Rakestraw he can potentially be the phone a friend, and we're going to put John on the hot seat here. John, we just passed the turn for, I would say, one of the greatest Notre Dame women's basketball players of all time, the high school for one, Ruth Riley. Can you name the high school that Ruth Riley attended?
Oh, gosh. Ruth Riley.
This might be Final Jeopardy for Matt Taylor tonight.
Yeah, well, he better go.
He tried to drop on you yesterday.
Yeah, tiebreakers is where he is on Mass Ave coming up later on tonight.
Would you like a hint, my friend?
I would. Yes, thank you, Greg.
Okay. It's a two-word school. One of the words is the same as a Colts opponent this year. Now add a direction to it.
Man. And by the way, Kev, hey, Kev, thanks for hitting me below the belt on the girls' basketball question, too, by the way. Thanks a lot.
She's an icon. She's
Come
really
on.
an icon of my world.
John, what direction are we driving right now?
North.
Okay. And where was the national championship? Where were you last Monday?
I was in Florida. Miami.
Where in Florida, John?
South Florida.
What team were they playing, John?
South. I'm sorry. What? What team of the Miami?
Oh, my God.
Oh, Miami County?
North Miami. There you go.
North Miami.
There you go.
Man, he might have left a couple brain cells still there.
I know it. Well, I'm gonna go
your
out.
hand across the street.
I'm gonna run out and beat the guy in the white Cadillac's ass and do some drugs in the parking lot because you guys asked me that question.
It's a good thing you're skinny and good looking these days.
Safe travels, fellas. I appreciate that, Greg. Kev, have a great night in South Bend with all five of your friends there at that game tonight.
You got it, buddy.
Will do.
See you guys. Kevin Bowen, Fan Morning Show, which is good. I won't be able to talk with him tomorrow because I'm out anyway. North Miami. I had no idea Ruth Riley was from North Miami. I don't even know too much about Ruth Riley in general. I only knew. How many Ruths do you know? Do you know any Ruths off the top of your head?
Not personally.
Who was the judge? Bader Ginsburg?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's the only one I can really think
of.
Ruth,
Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth, yeah.
Candy bar. Because it looks like a turd. Not because you eat it. Any other Ruth out there?
Not that I can think of.
Sorry about that. Man, those guys put me through the loop. Evan Sherrill's in studio cluster truck. We'll get to Evan on the other side, too. Brian Evans still to come. Tom Dienhart, Jeff Rabjohns. Sit tight. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. No, I'm such a big fan. Tonight, for example, you got all the sports going on, too. You go to the District Tap on the north side, downtown. You're going to be taking care of televisions everywhere, every conceivable angle. And even when it's streamed and you're getting peacocked, they've got you covered. IU-Purdue later on tonight. Damn good food, happy hour specials. You got to get there. The District Tap, Clearwater Crossing, and in downtown. Shout out to owner Michael for putting together a destination location. And in fact, two. The District Tap online, thedistricttap.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, I hear Rocky IV. I'm trying to get everybody juiced and fired up here. You cannot listen to the Rocky IV soundtrack and not want to go do about 50 push-ups. No way. Even if you can't. You remember this scene in Rocky IV, James? What was going on here?
This is where he's training out in the cabin?
No, there was some angst going on. Apollo just got killed by Drago in the ring, and he was driving his Lamborghini in reflection, emotion, and sadness. Robert Tepper's one-hit wonder. This is There's No Easy Way Out, James. Reflection. Evan Sherrill is in the studio. Speaking of reflection, clustertruck.com. Hey, this is an absolute awesome night to just hang in, call you guys, and get food delivered.
That is a fact, yeah. Snow day, IU game on tonight, Purdue game on tonight.
Both because they're playing one another.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just meeting right there in the middle in Bloomington.
I didn't want to show any biases just by saying, one team's game tonight. But yeah, perfect time to order Cluster Truck.
Let me tell you that too. Did you get me some of that former NBA player John salmon in that bag right there for me?
Salmon and roasted veggies in there, and like we talked about last week, a side of hummus in there as well. House-made hummus.
Let's do it.
With the side of our carrots, which the side is carrots and celery, so I put 2 of them in there. You could just toss out the celery, only eat the carrots if you want.
Let me tell you this. Do you make your own hummus?
We do.
So you put chickpeas in a bowl, then splash a little olive oil in there. Do you do it with some kind? What kind of utensil do you use to smash up that into hummus?
They actually use, I think it's called a robo-coop. It's like a...
Do they use their feet?
No,
like they would with smashing grapes? Okay.
No feet. No feet. It's like a industrial kind of blender.
Oh, man.
And they add 1 ingredient at a time, and it's good stuff. I
love hummus.
I'm a big fan of our hummus, so you'll have to let me know what you think.
Hummus is good for you, too.
Yeah.
Not like anything else, you can't eat it in excess. But it is good for you. And I put that stuff all over carrots, brother.
Very nice. So I'm excited to hear the review.
Wasn't it the film Don't Mess with the Zohan when Adam Sandler, the character put hummus on everything? Was that what that was? I mean, hummus on everything.
I think
he drank that in fizzy bubbly, I think.
I actually have not seen Keeping Up with This. I'll have to watch it.
Well, Emmanuel Shariki was in there from Entourage, and she's a smoke-tacular. So that was a good reason to always watch Don't Mess with the Zohan. But the hummus is top-notch, is what you're telling me here.
I'm a huge fan. It is the only hummus I've ever had in my life, so I have nothing to compare it to, but it is very good.
That's beautiful. I can't wait for that. And there's traditional hummus, too, right?
Correct.
You got a little touch of olive oil in there and all that.
They do blend in some olive oil in there.
Blend it.
Yeah. Very good.
Blend it, baby. All right, what'd you get, James?
I brought some new things for James. Not new to the menu, but new to James. Buffalo chicken mac and cheese. We house make the mac and cheese sauce and the buffalo sauce. It is fire. And then our loaded tater tots as well.
Oh, James.
Let's go.
James.
There's dinner tonight.
That is great. Good
Honestly,
for James.
They're both entrees. It could be dinner and lunch tomorrow even. So
it probably will be.
That is well done. All right, what else is on the menu tonight?
Yeah, well, we just brought out a new Thai red curry. That is very good. New hibachi bowl as well. But that's the beauty of Cluster Truck. We have over 100 items on the menu, a bunch of different cuisines. So anything that you're craving at all, you can find it on our menu at clustertruck.com.
You're going to have to bring over some of that Thai red curry next time. That sounds
good.
Oh,
bet. Okay, I was actually looking at that for you today.
Is that what Steph Curry named his kids?
Thai red curry.
I don't even know what that is. I thought it was for a second. No, that's actually a flavor or something?
Yeah, Thai red curry. So it's a curry made with coconut milk and red curry, like powder or paste. And ours is really like authentic curry.
Is it spicy?
It has a little kick to it. Ours is made with edamame too. We put sweet potatoes in there, basil, arugula. It's fire. So yeah, I will bring you some next week.
Make it as spicy as you can. I love spicy Thai food.
Heard, okay.
That's why James has got his own little spot in there now, so he can clog up the producer's studio.
I don't eat in here.
You know what I noticed? Did they do that purposely so they'll match with that stuff falling down right there? Look at that little flap that's right up there. That flap
I
in
didn't
the
realize there were
window was
two.
falling down just like you guys.
Huh? Maybe it's a design choice. I don't know.
Clearly, they didn't use Elmer's glue on that son of a gun right there, did they? They didn't. All right. Clustertruck.com. Big fan. You're going to get a discount, correct, Evan?
Yep, clustertruck.com or download the app and use code BIGFAN. You'll get $5 off your next order of 25 or more.
The cluster. Hey, make sure that you shout us out, too, when you order from Cluster Truck. Say, I heard you guys on JMV. He didn't make an ounce of sense, but Evan, you and James did. Okay?
Hey, I'm just happy to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Big fan. The promo code clustertruck.com. Hey, make that. You got a 9 o'clock get together in Bloomington with IU and Purdue, and you're getting peacocked. Hey, make sure everything is easy for you tonight. Clustertruck.com. Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, guys.
Evan Sherrill in studio. Tom Dienhart, Jeff Rabjohns, Brian Evans still to come. Sit tight. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. That is going to be a fun time right there. Now, here's what you could deal with that won't be any fun. However, you know that the job is going to be done right, and it's going to take a lot of the pressure off of you because you know you're going with the best. That's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. What I mean by that is one of these days when the temperatures rise above 19 degrees, consistently, maybe for a 48-hour period, this stuff out there, all this white stuff piled up everywhere, is going to melt. And then when it melts, it turns into water. And that water has to go someplace. And if you have drains around your home and its foundation, it could be compromised if it's clogged. Make sure you're clog free. Go ahead and skip the issue before it happens. Get clog-free with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. That's 317-927-7186. The best in plumbing. Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. This water has to go someplace. Make sure it doesn't go where you don't want it to go, in and around your home and its foundation. LD Smith Plumbing and Drains today. 317-927-7186 online. LDSmithPlumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I love JMV. He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm telling you for real, Gary LaVox and I, brothers from another mother. I think my dad diddled back in the day over in Columbus, Ohio. JMV, the worst Fanta flavor, accidental dip bottle. Your dip spittoon bottle. That is pretty gross. Greg Rakestraw, Kevin Bowen on the way to Notre Dame for Virginia Notre Dame later on tonight, while the rest of the state will watch Purdue and IU. Tom Dienhart in just a second, but Jamin has been on hold forever. Jamin, you got a comment before we get to Tom Dienhart here?
Yes, sir. Thanks, John. Just two quick things.
Yes.
One, that you were talking about the concerts. Do you remember years ago, you're old school like me.
Yeah.
It was, I want to say the group was called Epic to open, but it was Metallica, which was awesome, way better than Guns N' Roses was the headliner. But then Axl Rose is from Indiana.
Yeah, he called everybody a bunch
or stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, Jamin. Jamin just cussed. What Axel said, he called everybody inside the dome a bunch of corn blankers, which honestly, with everybody inside the dome was probably somewhat true, but Axel said that. Big time rocker would understand that. Then part one of a hoops matchup in Bloomington with Purdue and IU. Tom Dienhart of Gold and Black Illustrated. Do you remember that moment when Axel decided to call those inside the dome a bunch of corn blankers?
How can a guy from Lafayette, Indiana, make that label? I mean, yeah, I don't recall it, but I guess it doesn't surprise me knowing what we know about Axl Rose, at least back in the day.
I bet Axel would probably take that Beck sponsorship right now if they're going to hand out some cash on a tour for GNR, wouldn't he? Right?
Yeah.
With the corn.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think so. So that was that was a fun time, JMV, when when they were at their zenith. I was actually in St. Louis in I can't remember what year it was, 1991, when they had the riot at their outdoor Riverport amphitheater, where he jumped in the crowd because some guy was videotaping. Set up a big melee there. It was kind of a national news. So he was a pretty volatile guy back in the day.
Well, and it was like GNR. That's what rock bands were supposed to do, right, back then.
Yeah,
that's how they behaved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he certainly checked a lot of the stereotypes as far as that goes. But yeah, Bill Bailey and Izzy Stradlin, the pride of Lafayette, Indiana, Lafayette Jeff High School. It's incredible to think, John, that two of the members of one of the greatest bands ever began in Tippecanoe County. It's incredible.
It's funny. Bill Bailey's, Axl Rose's, he had either his cousin or somebody in his family used to call my show all the time. I haven't heard from him in a long time. I think that has something to do with no longer being on AM, or unless we have this kind of half-assed low-power AM that's working right now. But, not being on the AM, I don't think they can get us up where he lives. But I used to get calls from a Bill Bailey family member all the time. It was excellent.
Huh. It's good to hear. Like I said, I remember back in the day, too, he came back here once. Must have been in Indy, and the local paper, the German Courier, had a picture of him coming out of Arnie's Pizza. Axl Rose going to Arnie's Pizza when he came back in town. Had to satisfy the one thing you liked, I guess. It was kind of a fun snapshot in time.
Yeah, it's a staple right there. You got to go no matter who you are. What you do, you got to be going to that, don't you? I would think.
Arnie's and Bruno's are the big ones up here, as you probably know.
Yeah, no doubt. Tom Dienhart is with us talking Boilermakers Hoosiers. It is part number 1 later on tonight down in Bloomington. So you go back to Illinois, and you kind of knew that something could be brewing after you lose that game in the fashion in which they did a week ago at Pauley in a game that you had control of late. Then you lost with a couple of turnovers and a couple of wide open look threes that were made by the Bruins, and you end up losing that game. Then you had Illinois, and all it did take was a combination of two things: Wager going absolutely nuts, and then offensive glass work by the Fighting Illini, which is a forte of theirs. So now the Boilermakers are losers of 2 straight. great. Obviously, you go to Bloomington later on tonight. There's the matchup, and then there's the fact that there's probably notoriously a bad taste in the Boilermakers' mouth after what has transpired in the last week.
Oh, yeah. You know, they always say adversity introduces yourself to yourself, and we'll see what the Boilermakers are made out of here going on the road to play their rival, John. They have not protected late leads at UCLA, and of course this last weekend at home against Illinois, which is discouraging if you're a Boilermaker fan. And yeah, I tell you what, I was at that game Saturday up here, and Wagner, 46 points, the most ever scored by an opponent in Mackey Arena. And Purdue kept switching, John, and Wagner kept making him pay for it. Lights out. You talked about his heroic effort, then you talked about the rebounding too. I think offensive rebound-wise, it was 13 for Illinois, just 2 for Purdue. Second chance points, Illinois 18. Purdue only had 2 second chance points. So having said all that, Purdue still could have won the game, which I guess is encouraging, right? Can they get things tightened up, though? They really had an issue defending that three-point line, and that's one thing Indiana can do well is shoot the ball. So we all know it's going to be crazy. And here's what I wonder, John, is Kurt Signetti going to waltz on the court pregame with that national title trophy to try to fire everybody up?
Well, that's certainly going to get people stirred up, Tommy D, without question. And that's probably why you combine that with that building, and that's automatically going to be a lot to overcome even before you start Xing and O'ing things up in that game. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah, it's always a great atmosphere. It's a great rivalry. I will say this. I always, as Purdue people, you always despise Bobby Knight, right? But I tell you what, the rivalry's just never really been the same without Knight. I mean, Gene Cady gone. I think for Purdue fans, every story you need a villain, right? Bob Knight was the ultimate villain, and it's still a big rivalry, but at least for me personally, it seems like it's lost a lot of juice over the last 20-some-odd years without Bob Knight. It's still great and it's still electric, but I still remember being a student over here as a young adult going to games, and Bob Knight would walk out of that Mackey Arena tunnel, and the volume, the boost that cascaded down, just the intensity of that rivalry was a lot of fun through the 1980s, especially for me.
So Tom Dienhart, who's talking IU-Purdue with us. It is round number 1. It is part 2 coming up at Mackey in the month of February. Tommy D's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and this may be a completely unfair take. And I know that most Boilermaker fans are indeed waiting to see what happens in March. I mean, this is all I hate to say it, but it all, to some fans, is kind of window dressing until that point in time. But you still have to play. You still want to win, the title and position yourself right. But am I wrong to suggest that I should be somewhat disappointed in Kaufman-Renn this year? Is it a combination of Clough and his influence? Because I've noticed he looks frustrated oftentimes out there. And that's one thing that I have noted. I don't know if I set the bar too high or if I just have a wrong evaluation on this, Tommy D.
No, you're exactly right. You have a right to be disappointed. He hasn't performed as expected. Remember, he almost led the Big Ten in scoring last year. I know the team was constructed differently. They needed more from him last year in a different role. This year he's playing more of the, the 4. And, they have the Australian kid Clough, too, and he's obviously taken some of the steam away from Kaufman-Renn. But you're right. The body language hasn't been good. He's shown his frustration and just hasn't been as productive this year. And I think between him and Lawyer, John, they got to get Lawyer rolling up here as well. He's been a real disappointment, especially the last 3 games. Fans want to see more of guys like Jack Venter, especially. He's looked really, really good off the bench. And but Matt Painter's sticking with Lawyer. He's got to find his shot, because if he's not hitting his shots, he doesn't bring a whole heck of a lot to the court. So we'll see if Lawyer can get hot tonight. Maybe sometimes going on the road allows you to focus yourself, and we'll see if he can get on track tonight in Bloomington.
So it's interesting. I brought this up yesterday and then reiterated that at the start of the show. I remember having Matt on back in November, and everybody was making a lot about the depth of this team. And he had referenced the depth, but also said, some of these guys are going to be disappointed because you're going to end up playing the guys that are going to be best for you in that moment. And I kind of fast forward now thinking, a guy like Jack Benter, in certain moments may resonate more positively for this team than certainly where Fletcher Lawyer is playing right now for his team.
I tell you what, man, Benter just makes things happen. He can shoot, I think, every bit as good as Lawyer. Brings a little bit more juice, takes charges, just more energetic, and makes things happen, like I said. And I tell you what, even the Harris kid, Jakar Harris, I think, coming off the bench, he probably deserves to play a little bit more as well. So you're right, there's plenty of depth there, plenty of competition. I think that's what you want. We'll see how Lawyer continues to handle it. He's got to be frustrated, right? And this is always when you find out the most about people is when they're going through adversity. We'll see how he responds, if he can get himself on track or not. And again, it's going to be tough to do it tonight on the road, but we certainly need him to find his stroke here down the stretch.
It's Gold and Black Illustrated's Tom Dienhart's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He got back up and still played really well after rolling his ankle or being injured. How dinged up is Braden Smith? And is there anybody else that's dealing with some stuff right now, too? Not to hand out any excuses, I'm not for a 2-game losing streak, but just kind of wonder the relative health of this team going into this matchup in Bloomington tonight.
Smith says he's okay, but you got to think, with an ankle, which I think he first really hurt at UCLA there. He's not 100%, but he fights through it. We saw him sort of get it tweaked again against Illinois. Continues to play. I think we know what we need to know about Braden Smith, how special he is. Again, he can't be 100%, but he's certainly not going to tell you that. And the one guy who can just will you a bucket when you need a bucket, the ultimate All-American, he's special, and Purdue needs more like him. And they just need more leadership, I think, from all the seniors, to be honest with you. This for Kaufman. Friends got to step up, and we talked about Lord, those two guys. I mean, Purdue needs those guys to step up. Not only on the court, but I think from a spiritual standpoint. But again, Braden Smith has been really special, and he's going to have to be tonight if he wants to win.
IU obviously struggles on the interior. Now the Boilermakers got knocked around on the interior in their own right on Saturday against Illinois at Mackey. But when you talk about guys like Bailey and Alexis, you feeling good that maybe the game plan is to go early and often and pound the interior against an IU group that hasn't fared very well against height on other teams?
I think so. You got to try to get Kaufman run on track, right? And you know what you're going to get from Clough. He's a tough guy. He's going to sort of clean up the garbage, try to get some offensive rebounds, some easy putbacks. And then Daniel Jacobson, the redshirt freshman, is a kid I love a lot coming off the bench. 7'4" string bean who can protect the rim. And seemingly 2 or 3 times every game, him and Braden Smith hook up for a nice alley-oop slam dunk. So he can run the court, John. He's a guy I think's got a real bright future here. And he can face the basket and shoot a little bit as well. So he's going to get better and better. And those are 3 good big men. I think Purdue's going to have to, like you said, get established here, try to attack the interior of that Indiana defense.
So Tom Dienhart of Gold and Black Illustrated, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Now, I'm a big fan of red asses, you know that. So we're going to get a really sweet, like Connor Enright, Braden Smith red ass battle later on tonight, because I dig that.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's going to be fun to see how this thing unfolds tonight. I think Purdue's about a 4 or 5 point favorite here. So with the odds, we're happy just to get out there with a W if they can.
No doubt about that. So, Boilermakers and IU, round number 1. I do want to ask you this. You had mentioned, too, we're going to see the national championship IU football team honored during that game, which is going to add even more juice and intensity, hopefully, to the in-game situation here. What is the effect of what IU accomplished in football in Bloomington to that of the Odom coach Purdue Boilermaker football program with their fan base?
We talked to Barry last Friday, John, and I asked him about Indiana. I said, we got to ask. I got to ask about Indiana, Barry. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Well, how's that impact your program? And he handled it pretty graciously. He congratulated Kurt Signetti. I guess he sent him a text message after he won it all, and just seemed very impressed. And I'm sure kind of underneath, he probably burns up a little bit about it, but still puts more pressure on Odom, puts more pressure on Purdue. We talked to Mike Bobinski a couple weeks before that. He said something to the effect, if this wasn't Indiana, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. If this was, say, Vanderbilt doing it or Washington State, but it is Indiana, and it is a big deal, right? So, and it just gets the Purdue fans riled up, John. Purdue fans are riled up. They're easy to rile up anyway. Now you got Indiana football, for crying out loud, winning the national championship and a Heisman Trophy. It's been a crazy, crazy year. Indiana football rules and Nebraska basketball rules, but yeah, and it just ratchets up things for Barry Odom here. And Kurt Cignetti, what he's done is put a lot of pressure on a lot of coaches across the country, honestly.
Does it put pressure on Purdue in basketball to break through in this state?
I think so, yeah. I mean, they were the preseason #1 team. This was supposed to be the year, right? And too much is given, much is expected, and the expectations were sky high here, like it or not. And Final Four or bust. It's in Indianapolis, right? So, yeah, I think Indiana's football success probably does put a little bit of pressure on Purdue basketball. It's supposed to be their year, and they come up short in that stand. I'm sure a lot of Purdue fans are going to be very disappointed.
I dig what, obviously, you know how much I like Matt Painter, and I've always enjoyed the way he goes about it. And it's just he's still like one of those out there that still goes about putting together a team by his own rules. Now, again, he has gone to the transfer portal. Will we see that even more? Or do you think regardless of the outcome or whether or not they reach goals this season with this basketball team, does he ever fluctuate exactly how he handles cobbling together a team for the future, considering the college athletic landscape?
I just think the only way he probably would change his MO is if things really got off the rails here. So far, the way he's operated, they've won a lot of basketball games. They've won Big Ten championships. They've gotten to a national championship game. So at this point, why change? And again, his use of the portal has just been almost to fill a one or two needs at the most. Typically, there's one key guy coming in from the portal every year, and I don't see him change from that right now. Unless for some reason his roster gets upside down, guys leave, and he has multiple spots to fill, or like I said, the program goes off the rails, or really there's a lot of backsliding. I think he's comfortable with the type of program he's built and how he's built it, and it's pretty unique, honestly, to be able to retain this many guys for this long. So I don't see him change. And the one thing that sort of rattles Purdue fans is sometimes they don't think he's passionate enough or volatile enough on the sideline. And you think back to Gene Cady and how fired up he could get. Some people think, Pam needs to show a little bit more emotion on the sideline. But John, how that goes. When things aren't going good, fans are always looking for something to nitpick about, right?
Yeah, I would. And you are exactly right about that. But I think that Braden, and when Lawyer hits shots, which has not been consistently here recently, he shows it. And I would point my finger. And again, it sounds like I'm coming down hard on Trey Kaufman-Renn, but I expect so much more. He at times he looks like this is a chore to be playing that game out there, and he's having zero fun. And I just think if a novice like me can tell, I can't imagine anybody else that's out there that can also see that.
I think you're spot on, and a lot of people feel the same way you do about the type of season he's had so far. It doesn't look. I guess, how about the word joyless?
Yeah,
I think you kind of get that sense watching. I talked about his body language earlier.
Hey, Tommy D, do you think that's more because of the effect of Clough and the lack of touches maybe he would get if Clough wasn't there, or just more about his situation and the results and his numbers in general?
I don't know. I really don't know for sure.
Just guessing.
Maybe Clough has encroached on his turf, so to speak, a little bit. Maybe that has him rattled. I hate to think that's the case. Clough seems like a great guy, and they should be able to complement each other. And Kaufman-Renn shouldn't worry about his numbers being, maybe not what they were last year. So I can't really put my finger on maybe why he's sort of been off kilter for almost this entire season.
Yeah, it's just the way that it feels. Hey, by the way, too, regarding Barry Odom transfer portal, how do you think they did this offseason?
Look solid. It looks solid here. And the one big question fans had was if they were going to try to get a quarterback. It seems like the Ryan Brown fan club isn't big, but they're riding with Ryan Brown. So maybe what they didn't do in the portal made it bigger news than what they did do in the portal. He's going to be the guy, like it or not, Purdue fans. And I think Ryan can be a solid quarterback that you can win games with. I don't think he's elite. I think it can certainly be better if the talent around him is better, and they think they've improved the wide receiving core in particular in the offensive line. So we'll see if those changes make him a better quarterback and make that offense more effective.
So in your lifetime being in and around Purdue and noticing what you know, you just referenced Axl Rose, going into where did he go in again? Where what?
Arnie's.
Did you ever expect to see Axl Rose going in Arnie's or IU going to a national championship game in football?
Axl going to Arnie's is more likely and actually happened. I'll tell you what, John.
Well, he probably worked there. Did he not work there when he was still around Lafayette? Because he wasn't going to class. Yeah.
He's buzzing tables. I tell you what, the IU story is not just one of the biggest stories in college sports history. That's one of the biggest stories in sports history. What they did in football,
yes,
I think is on par with the 1980 hockey team.
Yes,
you're right. I mean, the losingest football team in history in 2 years, John, unbeaten national champ. They walked through Ohio State with Alabama, Oregon, and Miami. I mean, and won a Heisman Trophy. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's a special time, a special season. Like I said, one of the greatest sports stories across the board, and I think in the totality of American sports.
I was down there last week, and I have said this. I said exactly how you just described it. And then people say, well, you're from around Bloomington. It has nothing to do with that. It's simple sports recognition. In this case, understanding how big that was and where they were. Like Tommy D, it's not just in reference to the past 10 months as some nationally would give that credit. They'd do like 10 months worth of research and go, well, look at the college athletics landscape. That's not that big of a deal. You have to go back decades and eras of absolute futility to see where they are now to really judge on exactly how big this was. And I mentioned this, Tommy. I attended a 1-of-1 game last Monday night. I would never see anything like that again. If they win back-to-back titles, okay, but you'll never see that situation. That was 1-of-1 last Monday night in South Florida.
The first one's special, obviously. Beyond here, it's all gravy, I think. Now comes the hard part, staying there, right? That's the hard part, and it's going to be tough to do, but I'm not going to bet against Kurt Scanlon, I'll tell you that much. He's got to be a special coach, obviously, and it's going to be fun to see if they can continue to walk that tightrope and be a nationally elite team going forward here. And then lastly, on Mendoza, I'll tell you what, John, what a special guy. And I've worked with a lot of college guys over the years, and I think of special guys that I think of David Blau and Aiden O'Connell, a recent vintage here. Just the kind of guys that, I mean, it sounds corny to say, but you want your daughter to marry. And just special individuals, mature beyond their years. And Mendoza seems like a real special guy, a real easy guy to root for, and a great guy to be the face of any program here. And again, it's going to be fun to watch him at the next level here when he gets there in the draft in April.
Hey, Tommy D, you're a big 90s guy, right?
Sure, more 80s, but a little bit 90s.
Okay, I'm gonna mix this in here. And if you're a film guy, so I got Steve, Honey Bear guy, who just sent me 317-239-1070 a text for the show, trying to get your broadcast on the beach in Zihuatanejo. No luck today. Do you know what that is in reference to, Zihuatanejo?
I have no idea.
Shawshank Redemption. That is where Andy Dufresne ended up, then Red years later tracked him down to that beach on the Pacific, Zihuatanejo.
Oh my God! Now that's a deep cut there. I love that movie. I bet you, John, if I turn my TV on right now, I bet you somebody's showing it.
Yeah, and if it's not, it's going to be The Fugitive. Yes.
My favorite one is Get Busy Living, Get Busy Dying.
Yeah. See, Zihuatanejo. You remember that place we talked about? Yeah, that's where they ended up. That's where they ended up.
And how about Brooks Was Here? I just saw that reference in some shows. That was a good deep cut. I thought Brooks Was Here. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
One of the greatest of all time. Man, we love you, Tommy Dienhart. Thanks for coming on here. Enjoy this round number 1 of Purdue and IU later on tonight at Hoop, and we'll catch back up later on, I'm sure, in the wintertime as we get closer to part 2 in Mackey in February. Thank you, brother.
You're a good man. You're a treasure, John. Be good, buddy.
Yeah, it's Tom Dienhart, Gold and Black Illustrated on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. James, you know they want the nail?
Now that you say it, I remember it from the movie.
Can you spell it? Who can spell they want the nail?
I know there's a Z at the start.
That's a damn right there is.
And I think there's an O at the end.
There's
Everything
an O
in between.
At the end. Yeah, you are
sure.
blanked if you're trying to spell that.
Isn't there an H in there somewhere?
There's an H right off the tip top, right after the Z. Is there another name or word out there that goes ZH? Anything? ZH. Names or words that start with ZH. I know you guys aren't tuning into an episode of Query and Company. This is the Ride with JMV. I know I'm supposed to be talking about smoke shows and drinking and stuff. What am I doing here? Trying to educate. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Brian Evans on the other side. And Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Again, 93 WIBC, Purdue IU tonight. Television-wise, you have been, friends, warned. You're peacocked. Fanta Hummel peacocked tonight at 9. 8 o'clock, your coverage, 93 WIBC. Until then, we communicate with one another. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, it's John here for my friends at Premier Weight Loss. Medically supervised weight loss injections. Do it weekly. You check in with them monthly if you're thinking about losing weight, and no matter the reasons behind it, you got that motivation, and you can get something done with Premier Weight Loss. The 2 Indy area locations at pwlindy.com. We're talking in Fishers and on Indy's north side. I feel bad. Shout out because we've got 2-hour delays that made me I had to pull up routes on a scheduled visit tomorrow to later on this week. But I love it because you get the truth. You get on that whole body scope and it says, this is what's going on in your bod. And it tells you whether or not you're reaching your goals. And believe me, you can. With you and your motivation working alongside and those weekly injections, plus the genius of Lauren and Samantha and Thomas and my friends at Premier Weight Loss. If you want to get more healthy, if it's about the look, if it's just about losing the weight because you want to be active again, all these are goals that are reachable for you at pwlindy.com. Get started today. Premier Weight Loss. Tell them I sent you. pwlindy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, Evans is going straight to voicemail right here. Well, we can't have that. By God, we got to get a little Brian Evans on this show. Oh, there you go. Jacob Miller, Dr. Zhivago is ZH right there. God, you guys are so smart. You ever wonder to yourself why you listen to such an idiot when you guys are so incredibly smart? Do I bring you down? Am I like the anchor on your smarts real good? Probably so. So, James, I need to send this to B. Evans and say, call this. So we got some issues going on here, do we? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's anytime I try and call him, it seems to be going directly to voicemail.
Come on, Evans. Must be that old school Terre Haute GTE MobileNet device he's rocking. I just sent it to him, and we'll see if Brian Evans, the former Hoosier, the former NBA, or the lefty. What do they say? What are the help me out here? What are those dudes? The hysteric guys call him Dutch. I just can't get down with that. The Hoosier hysterics guys call him Dutch.
Like just as a nickname, Dutch?
I guess that is a nickname, but I can't bring myself to call him Dutch.
Is there any reason? Do you know why they call him that?
I don't know it, but I think there was a reason, but I just can't get down with calling him Dutch.
Do you have Dutch ancestry, or?
I don't think it has anything. I don't know.
Like
I really don't know what it has to do with. I know it was accurate. I just think it sounds weird. Who am I, right? Jim McCann, Southern California, checks in on the text line. JMV, in the summer of '82, my wife Carol and I were in Zihuatanejo on a 2-week Club Med vacation. The antidote to civilization. That's outstanding. Jim McCann. Club Med. Does that still exist? Club Med. If it does, I bet our next guest was there probably last month on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, the lefty from Terre Haute, Indiana. IU, NBA, and more. He's just a friend of ours. Brian Evans joins us now. Hello, Brian.
Hey, John. How are you? Do you went to Zihuatanejo?
No, somebody is listening from there right now. Is that Club Med? Is it still Club Med down there? Do you know? It's a Club Med.
No, I have no idea. I just want to go there because of my favorite movie.
There you go, my brother. My brother. That's why you and I are on the same path right here, because we get it.
Just saw it the other night with my son. Love it.
Could you spell it? Zihuatanejo?
Nah, I can't spell it.
No, I can't either.
Can't get there either. It doesn't seem like I can get there either.
I think you would have to spot me the Z even. That's how bad of a speller I am. Yeah. Former player-wise, and you've been outspoken in the past. We've had you on with that. How do you think your number one with Darren DeVries is going, and is it anywhere in the general vicinity of expectations for you, for what you had in your number one for him?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got sidetracked by this football team. I don't know if you heard about it.
I think, they were kind of good this year.
I was a little bit locked in. So I have to admit, I have not, I haven't seen a lot lately in the last couple of weeks. I've just been out of town a little bit. So I haven't watched all the games like I normally would. That's a tough call. I mean, I want to give him some grace. I mean, we've had a tough little stretch here and haven't played great basketball. I think that that Coach DeVries probably isn't real happy with the way they've played lately. I feel like they could play better. I think we've seen enough from them that they are in a little tough stretch right now, and let's hope they can climb out of it. And tonight would be a great win, right? If they could win tonight. Maybe get on a little bit of a run here.
So Brian Evans, the former Hoosier on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, does the highest level of success and just the excitement around the football program, does that benefit the basketball program or put more pressure on the basketball program to perform at a higher level?
I've been asked that a couple of times.
Well, I thought I was unique. I'm not unique in this question. I thought it was all mine.
You don't have any good. Hey, I'll talk for a while here, and you try to come up with a good question, okay? While I'm talking.
I'm doing it. Go.
I don't know the answer to it. I think that ultimately, just the attention on the football program. I don't know. It's not about the locals and us thinking that the basketball team should be better because of what the football team just did. I don't think it's that. I think, if anything, it's a net positive for national recruiting in basketball, right? It's a It's always been known as a basketball school. Well, now we're a football school as well. I just feel like there's a lot of eyes on that game in these last few football games. So, I don't see how it could be a negative thing. It's got to be some kind of a net positive for recruiting.
30+ million people viewed that. I think at the high water mark last Monday night, it was at 33 million. And you are deeply rooted IU dude. I mean, come on, man. That's staggering even for an IU guy like you right there, isn't it? The whole thing.
I don't know what a normal number is like for a national championship game. Is that really high?
It goes. I think it is the highest since 2015, and certainly I think they had 2 years of the this number of playoff era. But yeah, it goes back 10 years. I think as far as that particular number. And I think as we move down the road, you have all these other options that are all going on. Is you can watch anything at any time and devices, and I'm sure that's all is measured. But let's just say that's a staggering number, and it has been going back 10 years, and certainly for a program that a lot of the national, I shouldn't say a lot of the national people, some egghead national people suggested nobody wanted to watch. Evidently, somebody wanted to watch them, I would guess.
I was amazed by that the whole season, just how many naysayers are out there. And, it didn't matter what we had done or who we'd beaten. It's like not good enough, not a real program, over and over, right? And now we're sitting here going, okay, 16-0. We went from people's, everybody on the panels, every game picking against us for the most part. A couple games, maybe Saban may have picked us once or twice. But the craziest thing is, Now there's all kinds of chatter that it's the best college football team of all time. Is it really? Because you never picked us to win a game, but now it's the best team that's ever played. Okay, whatever.
It can be that, and it can be, to me, I've said this, I think in my lifetime, it is second only to the Miracle on Ice as the greatest sports story. And you consider IU football in this program and what it has been up until, 2 years ago, the year before last, when Curt Cignetti got here, and then where they are now, there's nothing like that. There is nothing like that. And it has nothing to do with me being in and around Indiana or growing up around Bloomington. It is the magnitude of that story, just how improbable that story was. And it comes to fruition as, to me, the second greatest sports story of my lifetime. And I think we know why Miracle on Ice would be, because that has political lines drawn and the Cold War and all that, and amateurs versus professionals and country versus country. That's always going to be number one, but that's number two to me.
I'm with you. I still can't believe that. Right? I can't believe we're sitting here talking about that. I'm still floating. I cannot believe that happened, that this team did this. What a gift to our fan base. It's unbelievable. I've been saying it every day. I just cannot believe that happened.
Here are the numbers. James just sent me this. Second most watched national championship game of all time. First is Ohio State beating Oregon in 2015, 33.9 million. Was also the most watched non-NFL broadcast since Game 7 of the 2016 World Series between the Cubs and Cleveland. So that is, and it's still amazing for, you had a handful of people suggest that nobody wanted to watch Indiana. Somebody did. And clearly they did, according to the numbers.
I thought about this the other day. I didn't know, I knew when we signed Fernando, I knew we got a quarterback. I knew he was from Cal. I know I had heard his name, but I just, I wasn't tracking it. Like I wasn't paying really any attention. So I knew we had a transfer coming in, and I was excited from last season and all that kind of stuff. It was really crazy I was talking to my wife and some friends about this the other night. She didn't hear his name until probably 3 or 4 games into the season, right? Casual fan, went to IU and all that kind of stuff. Not until we're like 3 and 4, and I was like, what's his name again? And to think of what the legacy that this kid left in 4 or 5 months is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen or heard in my life. Like fans that didn't even know who he was, and now we're going to be singing and chanting his name forever. It's amazing.
He was perfect, too. How could you be more perfect? 16-0, Heisman Trophy winner, on and off the field. How can anybody at that level do absolutely everything right? And that's not hyperbole. That's not giving him too much credit. That's exactly what he did.
If he would have just won the Heisman and we'd have lost a couple games, it would have been the most amazing season I've ever, for me as a fan ever. Other than, Steve Alford and Keith Smart, it would have been right there without the championship, winning a Heisman Trophy at Indiana. But this was everything. So we win every Player of the Year award, every Coach of the Year award. We win every game, and that's not enough. He's playing in his home city against a place that wouldn't give him the time of day, and that's not enough. And then he goes and makes that run that's going to be just a historic run for any college football fan that they're going to be watching for 100 years. I cannot believe that story has all the ingredients.
It does. And one very special dynamic, Brian, and all that to me is how all the old school blue bloods hate it. They hate it. Those from the South that talk college football and think that they have ownership of college football. And I guess that's kind of a dynamic I think we have here in Indiana, because I feel it all the time. I think we're above many more often than not in terms of basketball knowledge. I think we kind of take that and run with it. That's how the South feels about college football. But taking their product and doing what they did, and especially doing it to their team, Alabama and the Rose Bowl and the fashion in which you did it, in a march to a national championship, would have to be even more gratifying.
Well, they can, and I guess we've probably been front runners a little bit, right, with hoops and.
Oh my! I'm an incredible
front. It's basketball.
I've not accomplished anything, and I'm a front runner. Yeah, I know.
Well, in every other state, it's just basketball. I mean, we've done that stuff, and so I get it. And Alabama probably has reason to behave that same way. But I do know this: they don't have the same coach anymore that won all those titles. The landscape has changed a ton, right, with all the portal and NIL and all that kind of stuff. And maybe, just maybe, we are the emerging superpower that our coach said we were. And I think that they're down there talking about it. I think they're nervous about it.
Gotta love it, too. Brian Evans, the former Hoosier on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Purdue and IU. You've got the January matchup in Bloomington, the February matchup coming up at Mackey. And I wanted to get your opinion, because you're Hoosier born and bred from Terre Haute. And oftentimes, I think we talked about in the past where, maybe some people would overlook your game, and you worked your ass off at your game to get to the NBA level. What does somebody like you, having your pedigree and background in the game of basketball and your accomplishment, think about what Braden Smith has done, going back to Westfield High School to where he is now as a senior at Purdue with his accomplishments?
Man, he's I tip my cap to him, and I live up here, near Westfield. Lived in Westfield for a while. It's remarkable. He's tiny. I mean, the guy. My son is in 8th grade and plays against his little brother, who, by the way, if you haven't done it, look this kid up. It's a spitting image. You will not believe how much his little brother looks and plays like him, has all the mannerisms. I mean, I could not believe it. They played about a month ago, and I just couldn't believe how much he looks like him. But, we did not have a similar career. I mean, I don't think he was a bigger recruit than me. We were probably both one-star guys, right, if they had that back in my day. But, man, did he make good. And when I say we didn't have a similar career, I mean, his is way more decorated than mine. In terms of All-American status, I think he was all Big Ten, maybe as a freshman, at least definitely as a sophomore, and All-American. I mean, he's a decorated college player, and deservingly so. I mean, I really like watching him. He just controls the pace of the game, and and there's certain teams that give him problems. The length can give him problems just because he's small, and I don't think he's 6 feet tall. I really don't. But just plays at a good pace. He's gotten better every year. I mean, I know a lot of people that are around the program, and and they're close to it that say he's a worker too. You know, he puts in the time. He's in love with the game. I can't not, you know, I won't be rooting for him tonight, obviously, but I can't root against somebody like that, right? He's an Indiana guy that he's done it the right way, and he works awfully hard, and he keeps getting better. I hope he's going to have a pro basketball career. I don't know where that will be. But if he's in love with the game, like I've been told that he is, he's going to play for a long time.
So Brian Evans, the former Hoosier, the former NBAer on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Awesome to have you back. We'll catch up with you a couple of different times over the course of the winter and then into the spring.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks for calling. I'm happy to talk to you, man. Good luck.
Right back at you. See you, B. Brian Evans on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, a reminder, Matt Taylor later on tonight, voice of the Colts, Tiebreakers. Shout out to Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. I had a great show there back. That was the Friday before the Big Ten title game, if you remember. Early December, Mass Ave, Tiebreakers with our friends from Bud Light and Zinc. I could drink some beers right now. A little Bud Light, a little Michelob Ultra. Tiebreakers, Mass Ave, Matt Taylor. It is an Indiana sports trivia night at Tiebreakers. So you can bring your friends, team up, and that will lead you to Tiebreakers straight into Purdue and IU tonight at 9 o'clock. Tiebreakers, we talked to Matt yesterday about that, and our friend, voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. Tiebreakers on Mass Ave. Tell Matt that we sent you, and don't embarrass us with your lack of knowledge. Bring the knowledge, or phone a friend. I'll give you my number, and you can call me, unless it's talking about girls basketball or something, and I'll probably mess that up like I did Ruth Riley. Otherwise, I'm golden. Don't go anywhere. 317-239-1070. We've got your chance to win Rascal Flats tickets coming up. That is the text line, or 239-1070 if you want to call us. Jeff Rabjohns less than 15 away on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. I think it was Henry Lee. Friends. True story with Henry Lee from Brazil, Indiana. But here's a true story if you're thinking about moving to Brazil, Indiana, or thinking about upgrading, downsizing, whatever the case might be. The best in realty. It's my friend Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. So Sharon in Greenwood moved into a new home, needed a smooth sale of the old place, and needed that ASAP. Mark Dietel's team prepped the home quickly, launched an aggressive marketing plan, and success, after Sharon heard about that on this radio show, was had because the home was sold for asking price in just 10 days. That's the type of results you're looking for and you're going to get from Mark Dietel, the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. That's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty. That number again, 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Just an average guy with exceptional hair.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, we got 2-hour delays. CG coming up tomorrow, James. I'm not a fan of, and I will be honest, I have noticed Laney doing back-to-back e-learning days. There does not appear to be a lot of e-learning going on. But I so severely dislike 2-hour delays. That blanks up absolutely everything in the morning right there, James.
Just screws up your whole schedule.
Come on, 2-hour delays. I'm assuming that most places will probably have that given the frigidly cold temperatures of tomorrow morning.
Would you prefer they just cancel school outright?
I would prefer they just go at the normal time and maybe wear some gloves and a coat and a hat and get the hell down the road. I'm sure that there's some greater reason that I'm sidestepping right now as to why that they use this protocol, but I think it sucks. And you know what matters? What I know. I get it. Not a fan of the notorious 2-hour delay. Text line 317-239-1070 from Matty Matt. Indiana's going to get run out of the gym tonight. They have no interior presence. Only Conaway can create his own shot. IU fans wanted 3-point shooting, and now that's all they have. I would consider that sometimes they don't have that. And when they don't have that, they really get buried. You're right about these struggling on the interior. Seems like a lot of IU fans are all over DeVries right now. Tucker DeVries, the son, not the dad, and his play. But the guy that takes it the most is probably the kind of big Reed Bailey. Now, I will tell you this. If you watch the way that Illinois handled things on the offensive glass at Mackey on Saturday, it was one thing to talk about Keaton Wagler and what he did, putting up 40-plus and just being in one of those zones that anybody that's ever picked up a basketball in the state of Indiana would gloriously love to spend 5 stinking minutes in. I'm jealous, I am. Like 5 minutes in that zone. Yeah, not just back-to-back shots and you're feeling good, but 5 stinking minutes in a zone like that where you're getting to the rim, where you're jab stepping and stepping back and knocking down threes. And not only is it going in, it's not just going in, but you're not hitting any iron on the way. It is just a glorious 5 minutes that I would take, and Wagler had an entire game with that. But even more so than anything else, what stands out to me was the way that the Boilermakers got worked on the offensive iron. That can't happen. Not likely to happen against IU because that is not at all their forte, and certainly that is a detriment. But if IU could get anything later on tonight, I'm sure that they would feel good about getting something like that. Just not likely. You know, what is more likely is you're utilizing the home court, you're utilizing the national championship football team being honored during the game, and you're trying to go with Uncle Mo being momentum more than anything else. Because if their 3-point shots aren't dropping, the likelihood of IU being screwed is high. Now, we'll talk about that and more. Jeff Rabjohns at Peaks.com coming up on the other side. Is Greg in for me tomorrow? Who's in for me tomorrow?
I believe it is Derek Schultz.
Derek Schultz is in for me tomorrow? All right. Shout out to Derek Schultz. I am out tomorrow. It's kind of weird, too. They said, hey, you've got these days to take. Do you want to take this one on Wednesday? And I thought, yeah, here's what's weird. So I have a meeting. I have to come in here tomorrow at 1 o'clock anyway. So that's really weird. But it's okay. Derek Schultz in for me tomorrow. Chris Kramer, he and Chris can talk coming up. Is Chris Kramer on the show tomorrow?
Undetermined at the moment.
Undetermined, okay. So you're trying to, we were going to get a little Boilermaker recap from our friend Chris Kramer. So we'll see when that happens. But Derek Schultz in studio from Midtown with us coming up tomorrow at 3. Jeff Rabjohns on the other side. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Now more than ever, make sure you become a AAA member. It is so easy. Download it to your smartphone, hit that button, and with the extreme conditions weather-wise we're going through right now, you've got somebody that's supporting you on the open road. AAA.com. Download that to your smartphone or device today. As I like to say, thank me later. AAA.com. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, Johnny, for the best, and I mean the absolute best in your car buying experience, it would be fantastic, would it not, to start out a new year of 2026 with a new set of wheels? Glorious it would be. Hey, talk up my good friend, Eric Wilson. By the way, good friend and the best car buying experience you've ever had. Also is outstanding at talking hoop. Eric Wilson, Andy Moore, Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. The inventory will start right there. They have that. Endless amounts of vehicles for you to choose from, plus incentives to buy, which is just this big coupon that says, wow, this is the vehicle that you want. Here's what you can save. And then the service after the sale where you really get your money back and your worth on raising the bar of the life expectancy of your vehicle of choice. All that and then some with the great staff and my friend Eric Wilson at Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell them I sent you today. Your car buying experience starts there and ends there in 2026. 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny? Every day. Good. So what's the problem? I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You know, I saw this a little bit earlier. Tyrese Halliburton talking to LeBron James on the podcast about coming back from his injury and playing 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. How can I get into those games? Because I play with a group, and I'm not talking about James Boyd because he was wanting to play on Sunday. But I've got so many people wussing out on hooping right now. It's driving me insane. So if Chad Buchanan's listening or anybody with the Pacers, is there any way, because he's letting staff members play?
Yeah, it looks like he was playing with interns and player development guys.
Oh, God, I'm right there.
Oh, yeah.
56-year-old player development. I can run the floor just as well as these dudes can. Hell. So can somebody get me in? Because the groups I play with right now are all wussing out every single time. Oh, we can't do it. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's too snowy. Oh. Yeah. Oh, we got two of the Thursday night guys say they have too many at CG, which means they just don't like me playing with them. Now, we'll say this. They have about 35 dudes that show up and play slow break, but I think they have too many. They go, oh, yeah, we got too many. We don't want your ass there, let me tell you. Back to that in a second. And the words of Halliburton coming up at the bottom of the hour. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline in Bloomington, round one of Purdue and IU in hoop, and a very special night and an honoring of a national championship football team. And from Pigs.com, Jeff Rabjohns joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Life is good, brother. Life is good. How are you?
Well, other than having people, we can't play. We don't have enough time. Not enough people wimping out on my hooping right now. I'm glorious, buddy. Thanks for asking.
You know, there's no crying in baseball. There should be no whining in pickup ball. Show up. Put your shoes on.
Let me tell you this. Jeff, you know that I come down often and play at the Hyper at noon.
You really?
I do. At noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is when they play at noon. And I will say this, these dudes are always there. And I love the Hyper because it is always it is always going to be 95 degrees in there. And there's something glorious about that and how hot, no matter if it can be outside. Like right now, it's probably 95 degrees in there. And I've always loved that.
It's a great place. Yeah. It's a great place. And I love the stories of folks who went to school with some of the IU greats back in the day, you know, before everybody worried about, oh, you might twist an ankle. There's stories about, oh, hey, guess who I played against? And it's the who's who of IU basketball lore.
Court 1, brother. Court 1. And then Court 11, they were playing badminton. It was a woven tapestry of greatness, and it still is today. Jeff Rabjohns joins us. I want to start right here with the football program being honored later on tonight. There's always going to be juice, Assembly Hall, rivalry matchup. It feels like that this has been a little bit covered up and or forgotten about because of the IU football national championship run. But how much does that honoring that group add to things with this matchup later on tonight in Bloomington?
Oh, I think it adds a pretty good deal. You know, it's a national championship. It's a historical national championship. It's a beloved team. You know, it was kind of crazy. There were 20,000 people who showed up on Saturday, you know, and the wind chill is about zero to cheer for the team. But, you know, and the people who are going to go to the basketball game, they're going to get their opportunity. And for those who are going, what I was told a couple hours ago was the plan is honor the football team pregame. So if you want to be there, if you want to cheer on your 16-0 national championship team, go early, be in your seats. I would say be in your seats probably 15 minutes before tip to be safe. But yeah, I think it adds some juice. I mean, it was an incredible run, unprecedented, unexpected. And here's the thing. When you look at it, it was dominant, John.
Yes, it was.
They never trailed in 3 playoff games. Beat number 9 Alabama, never trailed. Number 5 Oregon, never trailed. Number 10 Miami, never trailed. Won by an average of 29.9 points per game. And here's a crazy stat. IU led 93.8% of the minutes it played in the 2025 football season, including the postseason. That's 16 games, leading nearly 94% of the time you're on the field. That's just crazy. And they had excuse me. Sorry, battling a cold.
Gee, are you okay there? I might have to call the paramedics if we're not careful.
It's just one of those things that happen.
It's okay. Go ahead. Call. Feel free to cough whatever you need to, brother.
I'm gonna try to hit the mute button here, but anyway, but they led the nation in wins over FBS teams with winning records with 10. Oregon was second with 8. Nobody else had more than 7. So they went 16-0. They beat good teams. Even their 2 Group of 5 teams ended up winning 9 or more games and going to the postseason. So they played good teams. They beat good teams. They crushed good teams. They finished with 6 wins over teams that were in the AP final rankings. So, the preseason stuff, that can be hype and nonsense. But they finished 6 wins over teams in the final AP rankings, 6 wins over top 10 teams, 4 wins over top 5 teams. They went 16-0, and they dominated, and they absolutely destroyed people. And if you want to get really nerdy, I won't. But you go through some of the metrics that really impact winning: third down, opponent third down percentage allowed, points per red zone trip, points allowed per red zone trip. They were top 10 in the country in almost every meaningful metric. It was just complete domination. And if you look at the FEI index, which is a measure of how teams play against who they played, that index goes back to 2007. Indiana was the most dominant national champion per the FEI index since 2007. So people can ramble on about 2019 LSU all they want, whatever. Indiana's metrics, number 1 in the country of any national champion since 2007.
All right, if we're going to evaluate an index here, the JMV DAI, that's the JMV Dumbass Index. I noticed that there was not a team out there that executed on both sides of the football at a higher level more consistently than they did. And that's what I gather. They were, as you rightly described, incredibly dominant, but they always had an executing angle and answer for any situation, whether you're talking about what took place back on Monday night in South Florida or in Pennsylvania on a Saturday afternoon when they needed it, or the Rose Bowl in shredding Alabama, or a rematch against Oregon when they were supposed to be in the crosshairs. They always had an answer, and it was always just out executing both sides of the football, the other team. Thus, outside of maybe the LSU 2019 offense, we haven't seen anything like that. We just haven't. And that's not saying it because they're in Bloomington and we're talking about a local team. We're saying it because that is the truth.
It 100% is. And if you want to talk about execution, one thing that you look at when you talk execution is, lack of mistakes, lack of turnovers. Here's another. All these stats are crazy. We don't even need to qualify them. Indiana did not lose a fumble over its final 1,047 offensive plays. That's more than 15-plus games. Didn't lose a fumble. They lost one the first quarter of their season opener. Did not lose one for another 1,047 plays. No other team, since these stats have been kept since 2004, has gone more than 12 games without losing a fumble. And Indiana did it for 15-plus. And if you want to look at what their offense does as far as adjustments, there's lots of different things you can look at, but I think Oregon makes a lot of sense to look at. It's a really talented team, a lot of NFL draft picks. They were top 5 in the country both times IU played them. First time they play them, they go out to Oregon when they had the longest winning streak in the country at Austin Stadium. They beat them 30-20. It was really 30-13, but there was a pick six, so the final score is 30-20. They play them again. They're still top 5 in the country. National semifinal, neutral territory, neutral field, not nearly a neutral crowd because Hoosier Nation had at least 95% of Mercedes-Benz Stadium down there in the Peach Bowl. But first matchup, 30-20. What happens in the second matchup? 56-22. They nearly doubled the points scored. They held them to basically the same number of points, and they absolutely blew their doors off of a top team. Beat them twice and beat them by more the second time.
It is Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com. Before we get on to tonight's matchup, I did want to get with you as far as comparing the work that has been done in the transfer portal and replenishing the ranks of guys they have lost and to add 2 guys that remain. Give me the early eyeball effect of what you think in year number 3 Curt Cignetti has done with trying to back up a national title championship team in the fashion in which he has put this together.
Well, I think they got some really good news with guys like Carter Smith, the Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year deciding to return. That's really big. That'll certainly help out a ton right there. The guys you expected to go pro, like Omar Cooper, they are going pro. But they've really added a lot already from the portal. They've got 17 that are locked in. They had Josh Hoover, who led the nation in passing last year, quarterback from TCU. That's obviously a big get. You lose the Heisman Trophy winner. What do you bring in? The nation's leading passer. You added Nick Marsh, big-time 6'3", 200-pound receiver from Michigan State. He'll be there. He'll join Charlie Becker and that crew. You got Ty Morris, who's coming back off an injury. He looked good in practices that we saw during the postseason. They had a Joe Brunner, a big 6'5", 317-pound offensive lineman from Wisconsin. That helps shore up the line. Turbo Richard, running back from Boston College. He's certainly going to be helpful. And by the way, who doesn't love having a running back named Turbo? I mean, come on, that's just handing you.
Do you remember the last nickname? Anybody? And this is I know I'm probably asking you and you have no idea. There was a significant Turbo that was back in the 1980s. Do you remember what film that I'm talking about? There was also a video game Turbo, racing game, but there was a Turbo nickname back in the 1980s. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it you talking football related?
No. It is film related in the realm of dance. It was Turbo and Ozone. From what film?
Oh man. Wait, that's not the dude from Breakdance, is it?
No. Well, I love it. See, Jeff, that's well done. I'm going to give you this. Breakin'. Both Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo had Ozone and Turbo. They were the break dancers in those 2 films.
Breakin', not yeah.
No, you were. Hey, listen, I'm going to give that. You get a thumbs up on that, Jeff, because I had no idea you would get that. And James, make sure you play Ollie and Jerry Ain't No Stoppin' Us, because that's from the soundtrack of Breakin' in 1984. Turbo was one of the break dancers in that. Jeff Rabjohns, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, and on defense, they got some big guys coming in. A.J. Harris, cornerback from Penn State, was one of the top-rated cornerbacks in the country, not named D'Angelo Pons, who obviously was a star for IU. He's off to the NFL. Toby Lusinami, I believe I'm saying that right. I got to work on that. Big-time edge rusher from Kansas State. Josh Burnham, another edge rusher from Notre Dame. He's coming in. You got Chidi Obazori, an edge rusher from K-State. So they added pretty good talent, in my opinion. I added Joe Helly, a defensive lineman from Tulsa, who's a lot in the C.J. West mode of last year. So I think they got really good additions coming in, and they got some guys who are going to play bigger roles, who are really good. Bones Jones, linebacker, was the guy who kind of like went from scout team guy 3 years ago to basically Aiden Fisher's lieutenant, really, on the defense. So they got some good guys coming back. They got some guys coming in. They're primed to be good again. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is this: winning the title, that was, the program did it, but that was that team. Okay, so now as you're asking about the future, that's asking a program question. I think here's what's really interesting. Indiana finally has actual institutional support for football, which is something athletic director Scott Dolson always wanted. And you know that. Scott, you've interviewed him a bunch. You've talked to him a lot. The problem with Indiana was they had a president in Michael McRobbie, who, sorry about that.
That's
but anyway,
okay.
It's not wrong.
No.
Ask athletic people. They'll tell you that's not wrong. But I actually did not mean to do that. But anyway, here's a guy who lifted around $20 million of BTN money away from athletics. So not only were they under Michael McRobbie, were now properly funding football, they were taking money from football. So in comes Pam Whitten, who has spent some time in the South at places where football matters. And she and Scott sat down, and she basically said, what are we going to do about football? And Scott laid out a plan, and she said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to properly fund football. What happened? You bring in Curt Cignetti, you go to the playoffs in year one, you win the national championship in year two. Now, yes, it takes special coaches, the head coach, the assistant coaches, special players, Mendoza, Fisher, Mikael Kamara, all going down the list, D'Angelo Pons. But it also takes proper institutional support, because without proper institutional support, you're almost guaranteeing that you don't win. Proper institutional support does not guarantee that you do win, but if you don't have it, you ain't going to win. And I remember I asked Curt Cignetti and some of the key players about the historical context of what they achieved the morning after the title game. You know, some of us were still there in Miami. And Cignetti said this, and I thought it was a really, really telling comment about the institutional support that Indiana University is now giving football. And here's what he said, quote, this is from Cignetti. To look back at what happened to Indiana previous to us coming, say 10, 20, even 50 years ago, it was strictly a lack of commitment from the top. That's it, plain and simple, nothing else. And now we have a commitment, end quote. I think that's one of the most telling things that Cignetti said during the whole playoff run as far as it relates to institutional support of football. That's why I think Indiana is going to have a chance to continue to be good. They have Cignetti. They have institutional support. They're paying their top-notch assistant coaches properly. You know, prior to Cignetti, they'd never had $1 million assistant coach. Now they got defensive coordinator Brian Haynes making 3, offensive coordinator Mike Shanahan making 2, and both of them deserve every frickin' penny of it. So that's among the reasons you look at Indiana and go, yeah, they have a chance to be sustainable. College football has changed, and I think Indiana is going to be good as long as Curt Cignetti's there, as long as Scott Dolson's there, as long as you got a
Yeah, and I tell you what, go ahead and cough there, Jeff, just for a second. Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com is with us. The other aspect of it is, and you mentioned the continuity of your coordinators staying, and then the veteran guys that you're bringing in that haven't played a lot of football together, but they have played a lot of football. And certainly that seems like that is a very important criteria for the success of this particular team that we have witnessed in the national championship season, and then going back to year number one, you know, getting into the college football playoff in that initial season for Curt Cignetti. And what you do is you roll with the landscape and what it offers up, and you take it and you run with it, and that's been their process. And there's absolutely no argument that anybody can make regarding what they've done to take advantage of that and to execute that particular plan. Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So tell me this. I've asked this about Purdue in terms of IU wins a title in football. Does that put pressure on this Purdue team to win a title, for example, just in the rivalry that we're going to witness in hoop later on tonight? But how much pressure does that put on Darren DeVries and the basketball program to get things on much more of a right path moving forward here?
I actually think it takes a little pressure off, because the IU fan base has something incredible to celebrate, a football national championship. And the football team played up until January 19th. So, you know, the basketball team, you know, had some struggles, you know, had a little losing streak there. You know, the eyes, the spotlight's not on basketball. You know, it may start to get a little bit more, but, you know, up until January 20th, people were just consumed with IU's football's magical run. So I think it really kind of like helped them a little bit. It kind of took some intense scrutiny away, took some of the spotlight away, allowed them to kind of work through some things here in year one without a heavy spotlight on them.
I get it. I do. I think that just because it's basketball, once, you know, everybody kind of, you know, dials down and settles back into the basketball season, there's going to be more of a focus. And in year number one, whatever, more of a focus and a have to and their expectation for this basketball program. And then no doubt there's a lot that they don't have with this team, but I think that's probably going to matter less now more than ever, Jeff, if that makes sense to you moving forward.
Yeah, it does. And I also think, you know, a lot of people who really look at this, they understand that, okay, a head coach was hired after the portal was already open. A lot of guys who were entering the portal kind of had pretty good idea where they were going. You know, the full staff wasn't even put together until most of IU's current team was put together. you had to go get 13 guys. You're going to have Trent Sisley back. You're going to have Dick Dorn back. You've got, you're going to have 3 or 4 high school kids coming in 26. You're not going to have to go get 13 again. You're going to have to go get help, but you're not going to have to go get 13. And you're going to have an entire staff, Darren DeVries, Drew Adams, Rod Clark, Kenny Johnson, that have an entire season runway of preparing for the portal from the Indiana chair. They're not coming from elsewhere. They're going to have a whole season of runway. And, they realize they need talent upgrades. You got to have a little more inside of the post. You got to have, I don't know if you're going to find another Trace Jackson Davis because he was just absolutely fantastic, multi-year All-American, but you need a little better. And they understand that, and then need a little more just as far as, a dynamic playmaker at the guard, whether that be a combo guard, true point. They understand that there are some things that need to be improved. And I think they got a good chance to improve that in the portal. This year to me, very smart person actually said this to me. I can't really take credit for it, but a really smart basketball trainer said this to me. He said it's kind of like a gap year. It's like the head coach came in a little later in the process. Assistants came in a little later in the process. They had to piece together the best they could in the portal, and there were some hits, there were some misses, but now they've got a year to put it together. So they'll have a better chance in the portal moving forward. And, getting guys like Trent Sisley, who'll project to be 4-year guys, those are good gets. I realize Trent's, more of a spot minute guy right now, but you look at his skill set, you look at his aggression, you look at what he can be as a sophomore, junior, and then as a senior. And, yeah, those are the kind of guys you want in the program. You look at a guy like Prince Alexander Moody, a 6'3", 6'4" point guard, plays in the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference where Victor Oladipo played. Just went through absolute just wars every night. He's had multiple 20-point games against nationally ranked teams. Is he going to be a big-time freshman? I don't think so. But those are the kind of guys you build programs with. And those are just a couple examples. But I think, this year you fight your tail off. You try to get to the NCAA tournament. And they still got a chance. Their metrics are still pretty good. They're in the 20s in Bart Torvik. They're in the 30s in the net. So they got a chance. Now they got to notch some wins. Probably got to get some quad 1 wins. Got a big chance for one of those tonight. Certainly they're an underdog against Purdue. But, you fight your tail off this year, then to me you go in the portal and you upgrade the talent and then see where things are in year 2. That's kind of the view that I have.
All right, so we saw Purdue struggle against an incredibly red-hot player in Wagler on Saturday. That loss at home, back-to-back losses, in fact, UCLA last Tuesday and then Illinois on Saturday. But I think more so than even that, going 40-plus, they got eaten alive on the offensive glass, and that has been an incredible shortcoming, talking about the interior game, the interior play of IU. Is there any way one night and one night only you can see an upgrade of what they have on the interior against a team that struggled mightily, especially on the offensive glass against Illinois on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting the way Illinois was able to get their glass because Illinois doesn't have big, beefy guys inside. They've got really skilled, but, it's the Euro guys. And they dominated Purdue on the offensive glass as far as margin of second chance points like Purdue hasn't been dominated in years. One stat I saw, I think it was 12 years since Indiana had given up that margin of second chance points at Mackey. So, yeah, you can get inside. Fletcher Lawyer can make threes. He can go off from 3, but sometimes he doesn't really block out. That's a guy you can go get some on. You can do it. And that's one of the things with Purdue that, might separate – are they really good or are they a title contending team? Because we know Braden Smith is fantastic. He's, arguably the best point guard in the country with so much of what he does with their screens, some of the drags that they do, the way Braden runs side to side. He'll start off on one wing, go down the corner, cut baseline, then come up. And it's like, I don't know how many steps he takes per possession, but he's got to be up there among the player who moves the most on offense, who can actually score. He's really hard to guard, but you can get some boards. I just don't know if Indiana is built to go in and get the offensive rebounds. I think the thing that Indiana has to do is they've got to shoot it really well from 3. That's what they're built to do. They've gone for 15 threes. They've gone for 17 threes. They've got to be able to hit threes. I think they got to get some easy ones. And I think one of the big things for IU's three-point shooting is actually dribble penetration, getting the ball, getting the ball inside. And that's not like throw it to the post necessarily. That can be dribble penetration. That can be stuff off of staggered screens, off of, some of that, European Bilbao action that they're trying to run, some of the ghost screens. But when IU gets a paint touch, the three-point percentage goes way up. Now, that's really easy for you and I to sit here and talk about. Doing that against the Matt Painter defense is not easy. Illinois did it really well. Illinois was fantastic. That one, I think it was 3-minute stretch where Illinois had, 5 different guys made a three. Illinois just carved up Purdue like you just don't see Purdue get carved up ever. That was only about a 4-minute stretch, but it was a fantastic 4-minute stretch, and it really decided the game. That plus the points, the differential in second chance points. But that's what Indiana's got to try to do, and they got to have a low turnover game. They only turned the ball over 5 times at Rutgers. One of those was a shot clock violation in the last 20 seconds when they just didn't shoot. So really, when the game's being played, they only turned the ball over 4 times in 40 minutes. They're going to need something like that, I think, against Purdue. And I think they're going to need somebody to be special offensively. I really do. I think that's what Indiana's going to have happen to pull off the upset tonight in Assembly Hall.
Jeff, I appreciate you. Enjoy the game later on tonight, and we'll catch back up with you at a later date, man. Hope you feel better.
I appreciate it. Always good talking to you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Jeff Rabjohns of Peaks.com's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The Halliburton comments to LeBron about how he's coming back from injury. Get to that coming up in a minute. I love this. I know we have trackside later on tonight at 7 o'clock, right? David Malukas is number 12, Verizon Chevrolet. Looks awesome. However, I can't be the only one. I'm excited about IndyCar this year because I can't wait to see and then hopefully hear from Will Power every week they race. Because you know that Will Power wants to execute some revenge. I got to see that. I hope it takes place too. That is the thing that interests me more than anything, even before IndyCar is underway. I don't know if they're going to have a conversation about that, but you got Kevin and Kevin. Trackside is coming up later on tonight right here on The Fan at 7 o'clock. Meantime, IU-Purdue down in Bloomington. Don Fisher's got the call, pregame show. He, John Herrick, Eric Soar. That's 93 WIBC. Tip time is in Bloomington tonight at 9. Their coverage is underway at 8. Of course, if you're watching at home, you are going to be peacocked. John Fanta, Robbie Hummel coming up later on tonight. Thank you for reaching out and giving me opportunities to find some hooping since my guys are all wussing out. Get to that and more, and the Halliburton comments coming up on the other side. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Sit tight. Hey, John here for Premier Weight Loss, PWLND.com. Hey, do that today. You guys have thought long and hard about it. You heard me talk about it. So that you know that it works. So how do you get involved? Yeah, log on, PWLND.com. It is a medically supervised weight loss injection every single week. You do it monthly, too. You pay monthly visits to either location in Fishers or the north side of North Meridian, as I will do coming up on Friday. And they keep track of your progress. They set goals. You reach goals. And if you work as hard as what they're going to do for you, you will see even greater results. It does. It all comes down to you, both with your decision and how hard you work at it. So you may have some reasons as to why you want to lose the weight, but the path has been set for you at PWLND.com. Whether it is health, or just wanting to lose the weight to get back into things you enjoy doing, you haven't done them in a while, that's PWLND.com. Also ask them about the electronic toning mechanism they have. It works fantastically. It is a great environment, too, with Thomas and Lauren and Sam and the gang. Tell them I sent you. That's PWLND.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's quite pungent. It stings the nostrils.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, where you can see the Buffalo Sabres gear that I'm rocking today. Well, the NHL. Ollie and Jerry's Ain't No Stopping Us from Breaking with Ozone and Turbo. Not only Breaking the original, James, but Breaking 2, an Electric Boogaloo. They got that sequel going once, I think, Breaking made like a dime. This was kind of a 2-year window of breakdancing when it was most popular. And Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo fired off maybe 8-9 months after the original came out and did not do as well. That song was badass, though. It really was. Hey, by the way, too, I am out tomorrow. Former Dolphins head coach, and I believe he just got hired with the Chargers as OC, Mike McDaniel, is in tomorrow from 3 until 6. How'd you get Mike McDaniel to host the show? Was that you, or was that Todd?
That was probably Todd.
Man, that's impressive. Mike McDaniel hosts coming up tomorrow. Will he talk about days with the Dolphins?
I had never thought about how similar Derek and Mike McDaniel look to each other.
Derek Schultz, as much as I look like Gary LaVox from Rascal Flatts, Derek Schultz looks like Mike McDaniel.
He really does.
Yeah. Mike McDaniel is in for me coming up tomorrow. Enjoy.
I can guarantee you Derek doesn't say quite as often as Mike McDaniel does, though.
Mike McDaniel. JMV, GTE MobileNet, call on us. I had one of those phones. It was a cell phone that got very little service. GTE MobileNet, and you used to pull up that little antenna. I had no idea why. But it was supposed to be use in-home, like it was also being utilized for your in-home phone. And then you could take it on the road. And I remember back in my days of Bloomington at B97 doing live remotes using a bag phone. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about with the cellular technology of a bag phone, it was the equivalent of when Will Smith with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince did Parents Just Don't Understand. And remember the line, I picked up the car phone to perpetrate like I was talking? That was the equivalent of a bag phone back in the day. And I perpetrated as I was talking all the time on the bag phone. It just came in a bag, your phone. GTE MobileNet. That's classic. I'm telling you what, Schultz looked exactly like Mike McDaniel. I'm really kind of freaked out about that. I don't know if I've ever even noticed that before. Shout out to our friend Kevin Kuntz in Belton, Texas. He is listening to the IU conversation. Purdue and IU coming up later on tonight. That tip time is 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock, it covers 93 WIBC. So Tyrese Halliburton was on with, I think it was LeBron James podcast of some sort, with a quick update on his injury progress, James.
Yeah, well, I'm approaching week 31 here, so almost going on 8 months. Man, I feel really good. My body feels really good. Just started playing like 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 full court. That's been good to like be with the interns and stuff. It's been funny because as I've started to play with the interns and, you know, Gennaro Pargo being one of our player development guys, I'm playing with these guys and I feel so nice. I'm like, oh, I could play an NBA game right now. And then the other day, we had like the low minute guys come and play with us. So we had like our two ways, Ethan Thompson, Cam Jones, Benedict Mathurin still, he's getting back from injury. So I'm guarding Ben. First play, he comes down, hezzy, shoots a 3. And they're like, go at him. And he's like, his leg. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm fine. Like, attack me like normal. I got to see where I'm at. He hezzied me one time. He was at the rim. I was still at 3-point line. I'm like, I still got some time. You know, like I got to give myself some grace. Understand it's going to take some time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the biggest thing is like, I really am glad for where I am. I'm thankful for it. The process has sucked, man. Like, you know, there's been good days, bad days. There's days where I sit there and I just keep asking, like, why is this happening to me? It's hard for me to understand in this moment, but I understand that it's allowing me to grow in different ways, to grow in my faith, to grow in all these different ways that have been good for me. I think seeing the game of basketball, I'm watching it in a different light. Like, I think it's different when you're getting ready to play like a team like Boston, for example, and they're like, okay.
That's Tyrese Halliburton with LeBron James. I cannot wait until next year until he gets back. That has been so missed. Just and you know how big of a basketball fan I am, and I like guys that absolutely love it. And he's a guy that absolutely loves it. I said this whole dynamic that goes on with him around here is special because you have a guy that loves the game like you guys love it. We just suck at it. We love the game, and we wish we could play at that level, but we can't because we suck. But we still love it. And he loves it and can play at that level. Plus, he loves being here. Cannot ask for anything more. But I will ask something. I don't know if anybody with the Pacers, I would love to be a part of that. I think I can run up and down the floor with these dudes. What do you say, interns? I mean, I know the legendary Gennaro Pargo, but I think I can do that. Somebody asked me. Because I got guys right now that simply put aren't playing. They're not showing up, not playing, calling off stuff. And I know we've had bitter cold temperatures and snow, but I live in a world of no excuses. None. Shout out, to the Mullins family that have invited me to Greenfield to play some pickup hoop. I will go anywhere, especially right now when my guys are all bailing and calling off and wussing out. So let me know, especially like tomorrow night, like ASAP. I thought we're going to play a little bit earlier tonight before Purdue and IU. Thought wrong, denied. Got to get a little consistency in my life right there with hoops. So let me know. I'll come out to Greenfield. I have no problem with it. Hey, by the way, too, I know summer concert series-wise, you guys are fired up about Dave Matthews Band every year. Dave Matthews Band, back-to-back, it has been announced, the 26th and 27th of June. Dave Matthews. I don't know how many years consistently Dave Matthews Band. They've done 2-night shows back-to-back. Dave Matthews Band, the 26th and 27th. Out at Ruoff Music Center. I'm assuming we'll have tickets for that at some point, too. I also saw those of you that are fans of the 1980s. Rarely is this gentleman ever out and about, and especially around here. If you remember, last April, it was me and Scott Long and Chris Hagan at the Vogue in Broad Ripple. We went to see The Fix, and you never see The Fix on the road, especially around here. But Thomas Dolby, and if you want to know, if you forgot maybe who Thomas Dolby is, the song She Blinded Me with Science is his 80s classic, that 80s anthem. Thomas Dolby, who has more hits and is a unique artist of many decades, at the Vogue in Broad Ripple coming up in April. I saw that announced either late yesterday or early today. So we shall go back and check that out. Thomas Dolby, She Blinded Me with Science. Can't miss that. David Byrne back-to-back, I think, at the Mural National Center coming up in early May. Talking Heads, David Byrne. Good shows coming up. Hey, by the way, too, was it Fulton that called in here yesterday during Anything Goes and mentioned that Earth, Wind, and Fire was with Lionel Richie?
I believe he did.
So I don't know how this works out this way. So I go to every Earth, Wind, and Fire show every time they come to Central Indiana. We go last year. I've gone before when they played a dual headlining role with Chicago. So they're on the road with Lionel Richie. Shout out to Philip Bailey, and they're not coming here. At least they're not on the schedule to come here. That's a pisser right there. I've never seen Lionel Richie.
That actually surprises me.
Have I not seen? I've never danced on the ceiling with Lionel Richie. Never say you, say me. Never hello, is it me you're looking for? You are the sun, you are the rain. You make my life this foolish game. Never seen Lionel Richie. And of all times not to show up in Central Indiana, you picked this one. Come on. Rascal Flatts tickets. You want to do that coming up now, or you want to do that on the other side when you play it in?
Let's do it on the other side.
All right, we'll play that in coming up, too. We'll close out with your calls at 239-1070. I mentioned Trackside coming up later on tonight at 7 o'clock. Purdue and IU Part 1 is in Bloomington. That tip at 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock, your coverage, 93 WIBC. Mike McDaniel, now Chargers offensive coordinator, former Dolphins head coach, is in to host the show for me coming up at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Having full recap of Purdue and IU in Bloomington coming up later on tonight. Mike McDaniel will be in, the substitute host on this show, beginning at 3 coming up tomorrow. Your chance at Rascal Flatts tickets and a lot more to close out the show. That is coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, then. James, a week from Saturday, right, is my brother from another mother, Gary LaVox in Rascal Flats. He looks so much like me that I'm just assuming that maybe my late father dibbled and dabbled back in the day.
I think it's the hair. I think the hair is really
I think it's the face. We got the same dastardly nose right here. And my nose has been broken a couple of times, and it's been broken because it was broken before I had insurance. I mean, did we not all go through those stages when you didn't have insurance?
I didn't break my nose during those stages.
Yeah. Well, I bashed it into a car windshield, and then I got knocked off the back of a tractor by a tree limb. Hey, by the way, text line, number 30, Rascal Flats tickets. Hey, look, I mentioned my late dad. My mom's calling here. 547, everybody. Only 25 years.
She almost got to 6 o'clock.
She almost got to 6,
almost timed it up right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if she knows what time it might be. 547, a little too early. Hey, number 30 at 239-1070. That's 317-239-1070. That is the text line. Number 30 is going to go see a week from Saturday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Gary LaVox and Rascal Flats. They have had crossover hits too, right? That's gone poppy, I believe. Rascal Flats. I don't know a great deal about him other than everybody says that me and the lead singer look exactly alike. And, much like Derek Schultz and Mike McDaniel look alike too, I think I can get down with the fact that we do look alike.
Really, the only thing I can remember from them is they did the Life is a Highway cover for
They did do Tom
Pixar
Cochran. Yeah,
movie, Cars.
Right. They did do the Life is a Highway Tom Cochran thing right there. Number 30. 317-239-1070 for the call. We do have a call waiting right now. 239-1070 on the line is Brandon. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, there's Brandon. Hey, Brandon, you know what? I owe you a song for the 1990s. I think I forgot to play either the Cars or Sheryl Crow for you on Saturday. That is operator error. My fault, buddy.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, the group. Lionel Richie. He's a good singer too.
Yes, he is. He is. Yes, he is a fantastic singer.
I don't know if you guys mentioned it. Did you hear that Bob Laney passed away?
I believe that was fake news, Brandon.
Was it fake news?
Yeah, it was fake news on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I didn't glad. Okay, well, I'm glad he's okay. I didn't know because he's a good guy, but okay, I just didn't
I believe that to be. I believe that to be fake news. I glanced it and I saw it, and it said a different. I don't know. It looked like it wasn't anything looking like Bob Lamey. It looked like John Wayne Gacy, and I just went on. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so you'll be out tomorrow then, huh?
I will be out tomorrow. Derek Schultz is in for me, or Mike McDaniel's brother from another mother. Yeah.
Are you guys going anywhere Friday? Are you going to be on location Friday, or do you know?
I do not know just yet. I don't think so. If I haven't found out by now, probably not, though, Brandon.
Okay. Well, man, I'll call it. Thanks a lot. I always enjoy the takeover. Maybe I'll request from Lionel Richie.
How about you do some Lionel Richie on Saturday night? I think that's great. It's a whatever weekend, too, so we go a little bit crazy on those weekends. Thanks, Brandon.
All right, John, take it easy.
Well, it was well done right there. Yeah, I saw that. It is weird just because people are, let's just face it, there are just way too many a-holes out there. There just are. And you get on there and you pass along misinformation, and then somebody rolls with it, and yeah. You know where we live. You have to check and double check stuff anymore. Oh, yeah. We get a lot of people getting in right now on these tickets. Well done on the Rascal Flats. I'm assuming there's something wrong. My mom keeps trying to call me right now. I don't know if it's because she thinks the voicemail's me or if there's something happening. But she's as they say, blowing up my phone right now, James. Weird. Yeah, Derek Schultz is in for me coming up tomorrow. If you missed it a little bit earlier, Jeff Rabjohns at Peaks.com. We did both the IU football team, the national champions that will be honored coming up later on tonight. Before the game, Purdue and IU at Assembly Hall in Bloomington. That tip time is at 9 o'clock. Again, 93 WIBC, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. I know. 8 p.m. is the scheduled coverage beginner with Don Fisher, Eric Sewer, and John Herrick. And then tip time is at 9 o'clock if you're watching that at home tonight. Streamed on the Peacock for you this evening. So got you covered if you're watching at home. JMV, you need autographed jerseys for the walls. I have one I'll donate. Oh, for the walls here? Is that what you're saying?
You could be talking about the walls at your own house.
Yeah. Oh, my wall. Oh, my
Yeah.
walls. What? No, I mean, that's the fireplace right there.
That's fair.
Yeah, the fireplace. I got the globe. I'm already looking smart. I don't think I
That's
need.
true.
And see, I mentioned that the reason why I was showing, if you guys missed the show yesterday, I get on about 4:35, 4:40 or so. So we go until 7 o'clock. We do basically an hour-long Anything Goes, where I would go out in my living room and grab things of, this is what is in JMV's living room. And half of my living room looks like it did in the 90s when I was in college, and the other half looks like a mature adult. And I let everybody see behind me, the background is the mature adult background. It's the fireplace. It's the thinking man, the responsible man. It's the globe.
It looks very scholarly.
Yes, for somebody that does not have a shred of scholar. It looks very scholarly.
You need to get a bunch of books and just set them up on the mantle. You don't even have to read them or open them, but just have them there for appearance sake.
Books?
Yeah, just a couple of books.
Do they still
something?
make books? I mean, now it's just like,
as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, like I'll watch you. I tell you, who's a big reader is Dev, our on-site engineer. Devin's a big reader. He's got all these ebooks on his phone now, or whatever he has. I don't know if it's a phone or whatever. Books.
Kindle, maybe.
See, that'd be a big lie for me because I haven't read a book since the 8th grade, and I'm not likely to read a book.
What was the book?
Oh, I've said this before. 2 S.C. Hinton novels, The Outsiders. And that was then, This Is Now.
Oh.
I half-assed read Tex, and I read a little bit into Rumblefish, also noted S.C. Hinton novels. But I will say, before I read The Outsiders, I saw the film The Outsiders, which I think motivated me to see it. And I love that was then, This Is Now, which was also a film. And Tex was a film. And Rumble, I think all 4 of those were films.
Outsiders is Stay Golden, Pony Boy, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's Ralph Macchio. Ralph
Karate
Macchio's Johnny in it. He dies. Johnny dies in the fire. Pony Boy is C. Thomas Howell. Unless you got to know, you got all the names. Tom Cruise is in it. The late Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Diane Lane.
Didn't they have a nickname like the Rat Pack or something like that? Didn't that group of actors have a nickname coming up?
The Brat Pack.
That's what it was.
Would be those from St. Elmo's Fire, but some of those are also a part of it. Your 80s legendary discussion going on right here. I mentioned Jeff Rabjohns a little bit earlier. Brian Evans, the former Hoosier on IU's football program, and the dominance of the landscape and the overall perception of accomplishment here in terms of things we have seen all time, and he was in complete agreement with me as far as the magnitude of that IU team in that moment. Yeah, in terms of the greatest all-time stories we've been a part of, at least in our lifetime. Brian Evans, podcast 1075thefan.com. Tom Dienhart of Gold and Black Illustrated. The Boilermakers and Barry Odom in the transfer portal and trying to get a bounce back after losing 2 consecutive. And the massive disappointment that many view, including myself, of Trey Kaufman-Wren this season. I do expect more. Maybe you'll get that from him coming up later on tonight. I know, 12 points plus 8 rebounds plus per game. but you expect more, and oftentimes he looks like he's just not enjoying things out there. We'll see if that changes for him. Tom Dienhart a little bit earlier, Greg Rakestraw, Kevin Bowen. They're going to see Virginia and Notre Dame and South Bend later on this evening as well. Former Dolphins head coach and current Chargers OC Mike McDaniel is going to host the show coming up tomorrow. You know him as Derek Schultz. 3 until 6. James, great job out of you. Tune in to Mike/Derek tomorrow starting at 3 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.